It's a beautiful night for baseball, and live from PNC Park in Pittsburgh, Sportsnet LA presents the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Pittsburgh Pirates in Game 2 of this 3-game series. Hi again, everybody. Charlie Steiner along with Orel Hershiser and Nomar Garciaparra. The Dodgers' resurgent offense, a story we'll talk to Nomar about in just a moment. But pitching, of course, has been the name of the game for the Dodgers this year. While the Giants are struggling in Philly, one man down. Matt Cain for the Dodgers, one man back. It's Josh Beckett.
Yeah, only missing one start. And you think about this, what a well-thought-out and executed plan. He had to get a shot in his hip. You look at anybody's hip, you look at anybody's shoulder or elbow as a pitcher, they're going to look like they're hurt. But he's feeling better. And you know what? This guy is the comeback player of the year candidate, a la number 1. And there is no hangover from the no-hitter. On May 25th, when he beat those Philadelphia Phillies and threw the no-hitter, he has actually gotten better. 0-5 last year with an ERA around 5, but now Josh Beckett on pace to be one of the best pitchers in the National League and really continues the depth of this Dodgers starting rotation.
Beckett fourth in the National League, ERA 2.26, fourth in the league, 2.03 opponent's batting average. Now to the resurgent Dodger offense. The last couple of games, the Dodgers have returned to form.
Well, I thought yesterday, in a very long time, we saw the Dodger offense look very well-rounded. They had situational hitting. They had clutch hitting. Matt Kemp coming through here, one of the 12 hits that the Dodgers had yesterday. Every one of their starters, but Andre Ethier had a base hit. But Andre Ethier displayed the situational hitting, finally knocking in somebody from third base with less than 2 outs, but just putting the ball in play. And there was clutch hitting. Justin Turner has been clutch for the Dodgers all year long. Adrian Gonzalez clutch once again, 2 nights in a row, and it seems like his bat seems to be heating up as well, and they're going to need that in the middle of the lineup. If they continue this type of hitting to go along with that starting pitching, they're going to be the team to beat down the stretch.
Puig and Ramirez still out of the lineup. Josh Beckett ready for his comeback. Vance Worley pitches for the Pirates and will be ready for the first pitch when we come back to PNC Park in Pittsburgh. %, a sultry Tuesday night at the confluence of the Allegheny, Monongahela, and the Ohio Rivers. Beautiful PNC Park in Pittsburgh as the Pirates take the field, getting ready for the second game of this three-game series. Of course, the Dodgers and Giants are tied for first place in the National League Western Division. The Pirates 2.5 off the pace in the Central behind the Milwaukee Brewers. And here is the lineup that Don Mattingly has put together for tonight, which is exactly the same as last night. Gordon and Turner and Adrian Gonzalez has turned things on of late, riding a 4-game hitting streak, and he had a big night last night. Then it'll be Kemp in right field again, Ethier in center, and Crawford in left. Uribe at third base, A.J. Ellis catching, Josh Beckett pitching and batting ninth, and 26-year-old right-hander Vance Worley making his 7th appearance for the Pirates, his 6th start, a record of 2-1, an ERA of 3.38.
And it's been kind of an up and down season for Vance Worley, where he actually found himself in the bullpen in his last outing, pitching 2 innings to get roughed up with earned runs during that time. But this year he has had more command than he has in the past. And be ready for the fastball, because he likes to throw his fastball and his cutter almost 90% of the time. Then he'll mix in an occasional curveball and changeup. Gets the bats ready early and often.
Worley, who grew up in Sacramento, pitched 3 years at Long Beach State, came up with the Phillies in 2010, spent last year in Minnesota, and he was sent to Pittsburgh for a player to be named later or cash consideration. Anyway, he is here and he is making the start, and here's the defense playing behind him tonight. Travis Snyder in left, Andrew McCutcheon in center. Gregory Polanco did not play last night in right. Pedro Alvarez didn't play last night. He's had a rough year this year at third base. Jody Mercer is an emerging star in Pittsburgh. Neil Walker, the homegrown second baseman. Ike Davis is at first base. Russell Martin is behind the plate. And D. Gordon leading off for the Dodgers. Dodgers 11 games over 500 as they play the second game of this 3-game set. After the game tomorrow night, it's off to San Francisco. First pitch of the game is a call strike to Gordon, and it's 0-1. D with 112 base hits, ranks him 6th in the National League. Turner on deck and Gonzalez to follow. And Worley into the wind. It's 0-2. More an unusual looking windup for this fella.
He does have a little bit of funk in his mechanics there. He likes to stay compact and turn and protect his arm swing from the hitter.
Three pitches, 3 strikes, and Gordon takes a seat.
D struck out on a fastball in last night to start the game, ended up with 2 hits. This little cutter inside, he thought it was coming all the way in, but it doesn't continue to break. Actually came back a little bit. It might have been one of those ones that the ball had slider spin, but actually backed up. One of the hardest pitches in the world to hit.
Justin Turner steps in for the Dodgers now, starting at shortstop again. Hanley Ramirez, his hand remains sore, as does Yasiel Puig, and so it's the same lineup as last night for the Dodgers. And a ball inside, 1 ball, no strikes to Turner. Turner with 50 base hits on the year and a 3.01 average, and he has been outstanding in the clutch. Played a solid shortstop last night with Hanley Ramirez sitting it out. Worley, the former Phil, missing outside. 2 balls and no strikes.
Yeah, he really throws across his body when he strides. He's not striding directly toward home plate. It's closer to the third base side when he actually lands on that front foot.
2 balls and a strike.
He's coming at the hitter from a severe angle where he is headed towards the third base dugout. And that's really going to put his numbers visually to the hitter, and then all of a sudden the arm's coming out from behind it.
2 balls and a strike. 3 balls and a strike. So Vance Worley, kind of a swing man. Again, he spent last year in Minnesota after coming up with the Phillies. Took a little something off, and Turner was way out in front.
He was in a fastball count, a hitter's count, and Vance Worley's throwing an awful lot of fastballs. He threw D. Gordon just 3 straight fastballs. So Justin Turner was ready for another one, and he took something off of it.
Gonzalez on deck. Then a ground ball. Nice play by Alvarez. The throw is low and dug out by Davis. But first base umpire Blas Diaz says he's off the bag. Well, defense has been a big issue for the Pirates and for the third baseman Alvarez in particular. And now Clint Hurdle's going to come out and say, well, might want to have a look.
21 errors over there at third base from Alvarez. The Pirates, I think, only have 70, so he's almost a third of the errors. And this is where most of the errors are, on the throwing. It's not about the glove, it's about the throwing.
Well, he definitely looks like he stayed on the base, and I think this is going to be overturned here. But this was a great play right here. So the glove is there. And then see how he kind of almost like lets up. It looks like he's almost hesitant to throw. It doesn't have the confidence in his throwing at the moment. And I think a lot of his errors have been from the throws across the first base. And Davis picking him up over there with a nice scoop.
And the movement of Ike Davis's foot was the sliding down along the bag, but it looked like it stayed in contact with the bag the whole time.
Blas Diaz on the left, who made the call. And Jeff Nelson are listening to the folks back in New York. And he's out. Didn't take long. There's 2 out. Most of the replay reviews have averaged about 90 seconds or thereabout. This one didn't take that long, not nearly. So 2 out, and Adrian Gonzalez coming up.
We had a long replay yesterday on the double in that first inning that Adrian Gonzalez hit off the right field wall, and they had a play at second base, and that one took a while. That was a lot closer than this play.
Here's Gonzalez in his 4-game hitting streak, and he takes a strike. It's 0-1. Adrian last night 3 for 3, a couple of walks. In his last 16 games against the Pirates, Gonzalez is hitting .448. Matt Kemp on deck, drilled into right field for a base hit and through the shift.
I'll tell you what, it was impressive. I know not only just hitting it through the shift right there for Adrian Gonzalez, but the fact that he got a high fastball and was able to get on top of that. We talked about Adrian the last few days. Really looks like he's swinging the bat an awful lot, a lot better, catching up to more of those fastballs and be able to catch up to the high one. This definitely has altered some mechanics, has found something, and is looking really confident at home plate.
Having had that game-winning single on Sunday in St. Louis, and no question he'd been struggling to that point, it appears as if he's turned the corner with that base hit.
And I think it also helped for him was he was facing a guy who throws in the high 90s and a closer in Rosenthal. And even over the course of that game, you could see that there was a little bit difference in his swing. But to get that barrel of that bat up and in a good angle at the ball to get that base hit was huge.
Matt Kemp at .267 with 8 home runs and 37 runs batted in. A double and a walk in 5 plate appearances last night. So Gonzalez now with a 5-game hitting streak. And is 5 for his last 5 and 2 walks. And Kemp into right center field. That's going to be a base hit. And McCutchen quickly cuts it off. That keeps Gonzalez from coming around and keeping Kemp at first base. First and third with 2 out. Hard hit balls after first 2 Dodgers were retired.
Matt Kemp does a nice job inside out in this ball, but also as the inside outs it, he doesn't get underneath it and flare it. He still drives it. They're trying to come in. They miss a little bit, but the ball was low enough so that Matt could clear and drive that ball into right center. Ball's a little higher. That's what they would be trying to jam him, crowd him. A little low right there, and Matt put a good swing on it.
Well, let's see what the Dodgers can do with 2 out and runners at the corners. Andre Ethier stepping in. Ethier last night was hitless in 5 at-bats. His average now under 250. Crawford on deck. And Worley, who retired the first 2 batters with the greatest of ease, has been cuffed around by the last 2 batters.
7 of the last 11 RBIs that the Dodgers have had in the last 2 games have all come with 2 outs. See if they can pick another one up here.
Andre got the RBI last night without a hit, the ground ball up the middle, but he's going to need to find some outfield grass here to drive in Adrian.
So Crawford on deck. Gonzalez at third, Kemp is at first, and Ethier fouls it back. Pretty good rip by Andre.
You would see some Dodgers open up their swing here tonight. When you have a guy on the mound that is predominantly 1 speed, you can be a lot more aggressive as a hitter, because it's really not about being fooled. It's about getting the barrel on the ball.
Two balls and 2 strikes to Andre Ethier.
We talked about that, Van, right at the beginning. Man, it's always going to attack you with those fastballs. The one thing about it, though, he has just different movement. He has one that cuts. He has one that tails away. So if you're able to recognize that movement, you can go ahead and just let it fly when you see the fastball.
Kemp back standing up. Vance Worley, 26. His 7th appearance, his 6th start of the year, career record of 19 and 18, and an ERA in his career of a little over 4. Ethier takes a call, strike 3, and doesn't like it one bit. No runs, 2 hits, and 2 left. Dodgers failed to score in the first. Josh Beckett on the comeback trail, making his 18th start of the year when we come back. Turns 57 next week. Went to school at Cal Santa Barbara in his 4th year with the Pirates and the National League Manager of the Year last year. And here's the lineup he has put together. Fergie Blanco, the much ballyhooed rookie's been struggling of late, sat it out last night, to be followed by Travis Snyder and Andrew McCutchen with his 119 base hits, 3rd in the league. His .322 average is 4th best. Neil Walker, the switch-hitting 2nd baseman, to be followed by Russell Martin and Ike Davis. Pedro Alvarez at 3rd base. Jordy Mercer is the shortstop. Lance Worley pitching and batting 9th. And this game marks the return of 34-year-old right-hander Josh Beckett.
Coming back after a DL stint where they gave him a shot in his left hip. for an impingement he has in there. The labrum in the hip is a little frayed, but every pitcher's hips are all frayed, and elbows and shoulders. But Josh has a new battery mate tonight, and he really is feeling very, very good and very strong. Had an outstanding side session getting ready for this outing.
A.J. Ellis catching tonight. He'll be off tomorrow night. The idea is he'll be off tomorrow night and Thursday. And then when the Giants and Dodgers have at it in San Francisco, A.J. will be back. Just had a look at Butera, who's been catching primarily for Beckett. Polanco, 3 home runs, 14 runs batted in, but he's been struggling lately. Into short left, and Crawford is there. First out, and take a look at the Dodger defense in the outfield tonight. Crawford, Ethier, and Kemp. Matt Kemp played a solid right field in last night's ball game, and Uribe and Turner at shortstop once again. Gordon and Gonzalez on the right side, and A.J. Ellis is catching for Josh Beckett. Travis Snyder at 237. He pinch hit last night. 4 home runs and 15 runs batted in. Starling Marte has the night off tonight. And a call strike.
Nice little curveball from Josh Beckett to steal that first strike. Something that Rick Honeycutt will be watching tonight is the break on that curveball. If it's more 12-6 now, since he got the hip worked on and is able to now work a little bit more north-south with his mechanics, going straight at home plate, not so much east-west where he would fall off to first base because he didn't have the strength and he wasn't pain-free to be able to land on his left leg and go right over top of it and drive the ball down. He's having to kind of land and pull off of that leg.
No balls and 2 strikes in Philadelphia. The Giants scored in the top half of the first. A Sandoval double, scoring Hunter Pence. Now it's the Phillies' turn to bat. Dodgers and Giants all even, getting ready for the big weekend series at AT&T Park. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Snyder on 0-2, just outside and low. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Andrew McCutchen is on deck. The Pirates at 52 and 47, 2.5 behind Milwaukee. Into left center field, in the sun, out of the shadow, there is Crawford, 2 out. Don Mattingly, talking to him today before the game, liked the look of his outfield last night with Crawford and Ethier and Kemp in right. A lot of fans may forget the fact that Matt Kemp, when he first came up with the Dodgers, played in right field. Now McCutchen. Andrew is the 4th leading hitter at 322. 7th in the league in home runs with 17. Leads the league in walks. On base percentage, the 2nd best. Can't say he's an emerging star anymore. He is a star.
Yes, he was someone that was really hidden here in Pittsburgh with all the ability he had, but then once he won that MVP last year and the Pirates got themselves above 500, he became a household name.
There really isn't a skill he doesn't possess.
Start gracing the cover of national publications and video games, people start to know who you are.
3-1 to McCutchen. Walker is on deck.
Proposing to your future wife on the Ellen DeGeneres show doesn't hurt either.
I guess he had a pretty good idea. She'd say yes. Here's Crawford making the play. 3 sevens in the bottom half of the first. Polanco, Snyder, and McCutchen all fly to left. Good first inning for Beckett. PNC Park, built in 2001. There's not a more picturesque ballpark in baseball. Hey, join us for the next episode of Backstage Dodgers as we take an inside look at Dee Gordon as he shares his first All-Star experience with his dad and three-time All-Star Tom Flash Gordon. Don't miss this new episode of Backstage Dodgers Thursday at 7 o'clock right here on Sportsnet LA. So Vance Worley gave up 2 hits. Dodgers left runners at the corners in the first, and Crawford leads off in the second. Carl at 253 with 42 base hits. Foul back and out of play.
I like this matchup for Carl because Vance Worley likes to throw that. We've seen him kind of throw that cutter down and in on left. He's not afraid to throw it, and that plays right into Carl's swing.
Uribe on deck. That one takes a bite out of Russell Martin. The count is 0-2. So the whole question about the 4 outfielders into 3 and sometimes even 5 outfielders into 3. It's a problem that slowly but surely seems to be resolving itself with the Dodgers 11 games over 500. Doing some research coming into this game. Since the arrival of Yasiel Puig on June 3rd of last year, there have been 41 games of the 218 played since the arrival of Puig, whispering sweet nothings into the ear of Miguel Rojas. 218 games have been played since the arrival of Puig. 41 of them, 1 out of 5, have all 4 of the outfielders been healthy at the same time. So when Don Mattingly was saying it would be an issue that would resolve itself, it's resolving itself. Kemp, of course, has had his health issues. Crawford and his. Walker with a backhand just does get Crawford. And the Dodgers and Crawford and Davey Lopes not real sure about that. Mattingly stays put.
Looks like he's out by the length of his spikes. It's still out.
Well, if there was any question how Carl's legs are feeling, especially spending that time on the DL, he looked pretty good going down the line.
The gruesome twisted ankle that he went through, and he looked great.
Uribe takes a strike.
You know, Charlie, the outfield situation also has become more flexible as it's gone on, because now we really actually have interchangeable parts with guys being able to play multiple positions. And Slight can play center, left, and right. Kemp can now play all 3. Ethier has been shown in all 3.
Mercer.
There's actually talk today in the Don Mattingly scrum that after watching Kemp look so comfortable in right field last night that he was dreaming about maybe Puig in center. But he did admit to some trepidation of the other outfielders if Yasiel was in a place where he could run into 2 people.
He'd have 2 outfielders and 1 real long wall to worry about.
Well, if Yasiel was in charge, the center fielder, because the center fielder gets to call everything, he would call everything, even if it's hit right at the right fielder, left fielder. I got it.
Ellis takes a strike. AJ at 215. Robbed of a base hit last night by Marte. He singled to right, scored a run as well.
Dee Gordon already has to deal with Yasiel, but Hanley Ramirez might have something to say about it if he moved to center.
So roughly 1 out of every 5 games since Puig has arrived has there been quote unquote an issue. Well, the hands-off policy tonight for the Dodgers. Puig and Hanley Ramirez both hit by pitches in St. Louis over the weekend. hope is they'll be back in the saddle tomorrow, and if not, certainly by the weekend in San Francisco. Beckett on deck. And Worley delivers. A perfectly positioned Neil Walker. And a 1-2-3 inning for Worley and the Pirates. Beckett retired the Pirates in order in the bottom of the first. He'll be facing Walker, Russell Martin, and Ike Davis in the bottom of the second.
Way to the bottom of the second inning. Josh Beckett on the mound for his second inning of work, and while Josh Beckett may not have the wins, he's 6-5 coming into this game. He certainly has been impressive this season with the earned run average. Hasn't necessarily gotten the run support, but after the game yesterday, Hyunjin Ryu picking up his 11th win of the season. In fact, 3 Dodgers pitchers now have 11 wins on the year. You can see there, of course, Clayton Kershaw, even after missing the first 5 weeks of the season. Zach Greinke, 11-6 record in 20 starts, and now Hyunjin Ryu picking up his 11th win, 11-5 record in 19 starts. There are no other clubs in the bigs that have 3 starters with 11 wins.
And through 101 games, this is just the 4th time since the Dodgers moved to Los Angeles where they have had 3 11-game winners. Back in 1969, Don Sutton, Claude Osteen, and the Singer throwing machine, Bill Singer. In 1974, Mike Marshall, Andy Messersmith, and Tommy John. And a fly ball to right, and a home run by Neil Walker. Walker's 15th home run of the year, and the Pirates take a 1-0 lead. Beckett has been susceptible to the home run this year. In 104 innings, he has given up 12 and now 13 home runs.
Well, you have your rehab, you come back, and this will make your competitive juices start to flow, and Josh will realize it's no longer a side work, and it's not always easy. That curveball Walker stayed back on and launched. It wasn't a bad pitch, it just was a really good swing.
So the Pirates with a 1-0 lead as Russell Martin steps in. Neil Walker, born and raised in Pittsburgh. Martin at 271 takes outside. But the fact that the Dodgers have 3 11-game winners this early into the season, 101 games, it's only the 4th time since moving to LA. And in 74, when it was Marshall, Messersmith, and Tommy John, Tommy had 13 wins, and then he had the Tommy John surgery. And in 77, Tommy John, upon the return of the surgery named after him, he, Doug Rao, and Rick Roden were 11-game winners this early into the season. So the 3-headed monster of Kershaw, Greinke, and Ryu are in pretty good company.
And you think that of those three guys, only one has a full portion of starts. Kershaw spent time on the DL, only has 15 starts, won 11 of them. Ryu's got 19 starts, won 11, and Greinke's got 20.
Martin is done. That's the first out of the second.
And Beckett should really be right with him with his ERA that was 4th in the league coming into today. But just the run support hasn't been there for Josh, so he's stuck almost at the midway point with 6 victories.
And this time a year ago, he did not know what his future was going to look like. Ike Davis, boy, he has been struggling. He struggled in New York and hasn't done a whole lot better since coming to Pittsburgh. On the year, 232. He is at 235 since coming to the Pirates. He and Gabby Sanchez have been dividing duty at first base, a left-right platoon. That one is well hit. That one is on its way. And that one is gone. Ike Davis, his 6th home run of the year. The Pirates take a quick 2-0 lead.
We saw Walker's lay back on a breaking ball. This was a fastball. It was supposed to be away, catches too much of the middle of the plate, and Ike Davis puts a really nice swing on it, and he drives it deep to right center.
Davis plays almost exclusively against right-handed pitching, and it pays off for him. Pedro Alvarez. Opposite foul and out of play. Alvarez, never any question about his power. It's his ability to make contact. He has been struck out 92 times this year. Go with his 15 home runs, 47 RBIs. The other asterisk on his resume, defense. He's made 21 errors this year. First round pick some years back. The Pirates are wondering about the long term for him. Into right center field, Ethier is taking charge. So Don Mattingly looking on. And Jordy Mercer coming up. It's been a while since the Pirates have had a shortstop that they can really rely upon. And it looks like Mercer is beginning to be the guy. In his last 10 games at PNC, he's hitting merely .469. Beckett pulls the string, and Clint Barmas has played some. Again, he's been offensively challenged. Barmas, of course, came up with Colorado. But Mercer has had quite a month of July.
Got off to a slow start and was a little bit erratic with the glove, but the last month and a half, he has been very steady in the field and outstanding at the plate.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Vance Worley is on deck. They've had plenty to cheer about in Pittsburgh this year. In fact, they're 32-21 at PNC Park, and that is the best home record in the National League. Mercer's been struck out, but solo home runs for Walker and Davis will go to the 3rd. 2-0 Pittsburgh. As we head to the top of the third, it'll be Beckett and Gordon Turner to bat. Watch the boys in blue take on their interleague rival, the Angels, in the Freeway Series at Dodger Stadium, August 4th and 5th. Each night there'll be a Dodger cap giveaway for the first 20,000 fans. Compliments of security benefit. For tickets to both games, visit Dodgers.com/tickets. Messrs. Walker and Davis with home runs in the second. The Dodgers haven't seen a home run in 13 days, 9 games, and 76 innings. Last home run the Dodgers hit, Miguel Rojas in Detroit on July the 9th. They're due. Josh Beckett this year, 7 hits, 3 of them doubles. Leading it off in the third. And a ground ball to third. And Beckett out for a leisurely walk, and Beckett will go to second base. Pedro Alvarez with his 22nd error. He could have walked it across the diamond.
Whether it's a hit or an error, Josh reaches second. He's a doubles machine lately as far as hitting the ball, but here Alvarez, another error, and it's not about, again, catching the ball. It's about that part right there, and there looks like there's an awful lot of thought going on between his ears as he makes that play. They say on the ball where he has to immediately throw it because of the timing of the runner, there's no problem, but when he's got routine and time, issues.
Gordon trying to bunt for a base hit. He's out at first, and Beckett goes to third.
Well, D actually trying to get it right back into Alvarez's brain and get the ball to him, but Worley did a great job hopping off the mound here and fielding his position, because if this gets by him, you see Alvarez is in no man's land. He's going to have to leave the bag. Beckett's going to get in, and there's no way Alvarez would throw out Gordon.
And especially, I mean, it looks like Alvarez has that, what every player talks about. You don't want to have those yips, and you see that and you creep into it, and it's that routine play that gets you every single time when you're feeling that. There's just no confidence in throwing that ball anywhere.
So the Pirates with their 71st error, and Alvarez has 22 of them, as Turner has to get out of the way.
He's throwing down there. Looks like Ryan Zimmerman of Washington. He was playing third base.
Gonzalez is on deck. Infield in at the corners. And it's now 2 balls and no strikes. Alana, Pedro Alvarez has a lot on his mind.
No question about it, and he's been putting work into it, guys. 22 errors on the year already. Before the clubhouses opened earlier this afternoon, Pedro Alvarez was out here doing early work, taking several ground balls at third base, throwing him over to first, trying to get as much work in as he possibly can. Nomar had just mentioned the yips. You got to wonder what's going on in his mind. Obviously losing the starting job at third base because he just can't seem to field the ball cleanly.
Years ago, Yogi Berra hit a walk-off home run, and the newspaper guys gather around him with the press caps and the notepads. Yogi, what were you thinking about the point of hitting a home run? I said, I don't know. You can't think and hit at the same time. Well, Pedro Alvarez apparently can't think and throw at the same time. It's been a real issue for him and his manager, Glenn Hurdle. And what do you do, and how far do you go and stay with the kid?
I mean, and that's one thing. When you have somebody who's going through that, you're going, okay, you're trying to break down the mechanics. You're trying, and it's not about the mechanics. It's not about when he's fielding. It's that moment, what's going on through your head when you're ready to release the ball. And he's not the only one we've seen that this has happened to. I mean, we've seen this happen to other players as well in the past. It happened to pitchers.
Dodgers had a catcher, Gary Bennett. Couldn't get it back.
And throw it back to the pitcher.
Yeah. He was fine throwing to second base.
Mackey Sasser. Steve Sachs had it a little bit.
Chuck Knobloch.
And I tell you what, the belief that it's going to be a good throw has to be past release. It can't be right up to the moment of release, because the players with trouble, they back that thought up about a hair, and it's right at release or right before, and that's when it goes awry.
Alvarez, an all-star last year. Pirates have a lot invested in him financially and emotionally. He was a first-round pick, second pick overall in 2008. Turner works out the walk. Dodgers have first and third, one out.
We've seen guys from the mound get it. Rick Ankiel, when he had to leave the mound after a terrible time in the playoffs as a young pitcher to become an outfielder then later.
Boy, I covered that playoff when he was with the Cardinals against the Mets, and it was sad. I mean, he went straight to the backstop. And there's a broadcaster a couple of booths down from here, Steve Blass. A wonderful guy. And was a terrific pitcher in his day until it happened.
We're going to see it creep back up in the PGA Tour again when they get rid of the long putters. That's one of the reasons the long putter came around. People that really couldn't lean over a putt and hit a short one at 3 feet.
Now here's Adrian Gonzalez with runners at first and third, taking low outside, 1 ball, no strikes. Gonzalez has 5 hits in his last 5 at-bats plus 2 walks. He singled to right in his first at-bat. Beckett is at third on a board at throwing error from Pedro Alvarez, and Turner's at first after the walk. And Gonzalez lines one toward the left field corner, slicing foul and out of play.
Going back to the yips and we were talking about it, amongst players, you don't really talk about it. You don't, when you see somebody else going, you don't make fun of them. You don't get on them because you're going, you just hope it doesn't hit you. It's almost like a disease. You're like, I don't want to get that disease, because you can see the other player battling through it.
There, but for the grace of God.
Right.
Silent hidden killer.
Right.
Career.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Adrian Gonzalez.
Adrian's cutting it loose up there, and he knows that it's not just the routine sac fly that will take to score Josh Beckett. Josh's wheels and his hip coming back from that, he is not fleet of foot. So Adrian just can't hit a routine solid fly and expect to score it. He's going to have to drive the ball.
Phillies and Giants are tied at 2. Philadelphia now batting in the bottom of the second. Gonzalez takes it inside.
I don't think Worley got that call, because you have your catcher Russell Martin looking for the ball up, asking for it. So he's kind of standing up, and then this ball starts off in and then falls over the middle of the plate. So with all the movement from your catcher, almost blocked the view of the umpire.
Gonzalez has lifted his average to 258, and he drills one to right. It will be caught by Polanco, and Beckett is on his way home, and he will score. So the error by Alvarez contributes to the Dodgers' first run. Gonzalez, a sacrifice fly, his 63rd run batted into the year. Pirates 2 and the Dodgers 1.
Josh Beckett didn't have to slide at third, which is what he did the last outing before he went on the DL to get that hip fixed with the shot, get the inflammation out of that joint. Right there, was able to stride it home.
Stride it home, and also because what you mentioned, Horrell, that Adrian Gonzalez really drove that ball to the outfield. He just didn't say, okay, I'm going to get it out to the outfield. He drove it.
Gonzalez, with that RBI, is now 3rd in the league with 63. Stanton and Goldschmidt lead the league with 65. So Adrian Gonzalez turning it around after the All-Star break. Matt Kemp singled to center in his first at-bat. Pirates 2-1. Ethier is on deck. Turner leads from first. At the knees, a strike. Home plate umpire is Toby Basner. He's 30 years old. He's been a professional umpire for 10 years. He wasn't legal when he started calling balls and strikes at the minor league level. Vacation reliever. He's out of Georgia. He's worked in the PCL, the International League as well. So it's a ball and 2 strikes to Matt Kemp. Outside. Martin had a thought of throwing down to first base till the slippery bar of soap flew out of his hand. Turner on the year has got a couple of stolen bases. And Kemp with 8 home runs and 37 RBI. It's been almost 2 weeks since the Dodgers last hit a home run. 3-2. Turner will get a head start. Dodgers and Pirates wrap it up, but there is a chance of showers and thunderstorms here tomorrow night. Naturally, it's getaway though. Kemp off the leg of Worley. All hands are safe. A base hit for Kemp. He's 2 for 2.
Worley's follow through got his legs tangled, and then as this ball is hit back at him, it's not hit very hard, but you see the twisting action of his follow through of his delivery, and he goes to reach back with it with his glove, but has no range with the glove because the legs are in the wrong position, and the deflection. I don't think Pedro Alvarez was thinking about throwing that one at all.
He's like, I got it. We're get it back to you, and I'm going to go check on Worley as well, make sure 1, he's okay, and then 2, get him focused.
Ray Searage trying to settle down Vance Worley. It's not your fault. You can only imagine what's going on inside the head of Pedro Alvarez.
A lot of different pep talks you can give yourself. You can try and calm yourself down. You can try and kick yourself and say, come on, this is not that hard. You've done it your whole life. Let's go. You know, I don't think it's about concentration at all. Lana's saying he's out here early and they're working at it.
A lot of it, it's like hitting, like when you go into a hitting slump, like when you struggle, it's confidence. And he doesn't have the confidence in throwing the ball, and that's that last split second you mentioned, Coral, that right when it's about to come out of your hand, that lack of confidence creeps into your head and affects your mechanics.
Alvarez has never been a great defender. 27 errors last year and 27 the year before. But now 22 already this year with 60 games to go.
An accurate bat is a bat that is swung with confidence and is accelerating. An accurate throw is a throw that is done while you are accelerating through the release, not decelling. And that's what happens to a lot of these guys, is they start to get real careful at release and decel, and it's not real accurate.
Into left center field, and that is going to drop in for a base hit. Turner will score. The throw to third, not in time. Kemp arrives safely. An ill-advised throw to third because that allows Ethier to go to second. The Dodgers and Pirates are now tied at 2.
Well, we talked about we've had situational hitting with the sacrifice fly by Gonzalez, and here's the clutch hitting by Andre Ethier, able to find the hole, and then good base running over there by Matt Kemp. I mean, he was hustling right out to try to get to third there, especially on a ball to the left fielder when it's right in front of the left fielder, and he's coming in charging the ball. And then Andre Ethier on the backside of that, recognizing the ball going to third and getting into scoring position.
Well, Snyder would have been much better off throwing to second base, and now Crawford with a line drive, and Snyder makes the routine look spectacular. But the Dodgers come up with a couple of runs. A big error by Pedro Alvarez. Gonzalez with an RBI and Ethier with an RBI.
They're tied at 2. It'll be Vance Worley, Gregory Polanco, and Travis Snyder. So much for a 3-man booth. Now we've got we've got the man among men.
Oh, this is impressive. I have to say, 4-man booth is impressive. You do well without me, but anyway, it's a pleasure to be here, guys.
We are glad to have you. You've got great pennant races going on this year. There's questions about, well, what about parity? Is it P-A-R-I-T-Y, P-R-O-D-Y? No matter what, you've got races going in this exciting.
This is the way I can't tell you that I thought that this would work this well, but in all the years in the 90s and the early 2000s, as we took economic mechanism and tried to build what I call hope and faith and competitive balance, when I woke up yesterday morning and I looked at the paper and all 3 divisions in the National League were tied, I said to myself, your wildest dreams, you couldn't have orchestrated this. So I think it's great. I really do. And I think we're going to see very exciting races right down to the wire this year in both leagues.
The hope and faith that you see is a living example in front of us with this beautiful park and the resurgence of Pittsburgh.
You're right. No, Oral, let me tell you, I was sitting with Bob Nutting and Frank Coonley at about 6 o'clock, and they were filling up in the corners, and I said, you guys are going to do all right tonight. This is good. Yeah. That's exactly right, though. That's so, you know, Charlie, there may be some people who, well, we need some great teams. We don't like parity. Of course we like parity.
Well, Gregory Polanco likes the pitch served up by Josh Beckett. 3rd home run that Beckett has given up tonight, and the Pirates reclaim the lead. It's 3-2. For Polanco, his 4th home run of the year. Meanwhile, back to the conversation. Place is pretty near sold out.
Yeah.
This is a team in a town that had struggled for 2 decades.
That's right.
And now, again, part of the plan, this is a town where it's a petri dish. It has worked.
Well, you know, the objective, I've always said, I say to the clubs at every meeting, and I would say to you guys, is to provide as much hope and faith in as many places as possible. That's in the best interest of the sport. So you come here tonight and you watch all this. First of all, it's a magnificent park, a wonderful sight here. It's a thrill to walk in here. But people are excited here, and they're excited in Cincinnati and in Detroit and in Milwaukee and on and on and on, and in L.A. and in San Francisco. And that's the objective. So let me just remind you that the last 10 years have been the greatest years in baseball attendance. So more importantly and most importantly, our fans love this. And that's what this is about.
Well, and then that parity, is there one or multiple things that you can say, okay, I think this is what actually influenced that parity that we're seeing right now and allowing the fans to come out and enjoy it in so many more cities?
No, I think the economic changes, revenue sharing, and have propelled the sport. Number one, gross revenue and attendance and every economic index that you could use. It shows that our fans are enjoying this. And I think those economic changes are what did it, maybe starting with revenue sharing. But remember this, you can help clubs like this one, but they got to manage their business properly. And so I look at all this young talent that they have, and it's remarkable. It really, really is remarkable.
Snyder with a base hit into center. To what extent, this of course is your last year.
Right.
Is this now the beginning of a sentimental journey for you?
Well, that's a great question. I haven't thought a lot about it. At the All-Star game, I had person after person say to me, well, this is your last All-Star game. And I haven't thought much about that. I think things are so hectic right now, and every day I still have a lot of emergency things. I think the last 2 or 3 months, Charlie, will be where I really think about that. I haven't really, I just haven't thought a lot about it. But I've been doing this my whole adult life, and he's been in the sport, so it will be quite a change. But a change, frankly, I'm looking forward to.
Well, hopefully it's not your last All-Star game. It's maybe your last All-Star game in your position.
Well, that's
what many more in a totally different way to look at it.
And I hope so. And I hope so too. You're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, no, that's true.
Well, we would be remiss to not thank you for changing the ownership and helping that ownership change out in Los Angeles. How strong we are now as a city and a ball club, and what we've done with the ballpark out there has been because you move things along there.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I constantly refer, as you've all heard, to baseball as a social institution, and it's that on a local basis. And what I watched go on there for a while was very disheartening to me, because I know how much the franchise means to us, especially if you're talking about the Dodgers. The Dodgers, one of our great franchise, great name, great city, and it was stunning to watch. And so I knew then that I had to do something. And also, painful sometimes as those things are, you have to finally go do what you have to do.
Now, with a week's worth of hindsight, what do you think of the All-Star week outside of the rain on Monday, over which not even you have control?
Oh, you bet not.
The rest of that, how did the week go for you?
Oh, it was spectacular. Yeah, it was. Everybody did so well there. The Twin Cities, it was from the Twins organization. Everybody just did great. It was a real pleasure and a good game. The whole Derek Jeter thing was wonderful. I mean, it was very emotional. And I'm sure the National League guys didn't think it was so great, but you know, somebody has to win and somebody has to lose.
All right. So then, every year, then after the All-Star game, I know you're always so busy. There's so much that comes up. What do you really look forward to the rest of the year? Is it the races that are coming? Is it the postseason? Who's going to be in there? What, for you as the commissioner, what do you look for?
The races right now. I'm really fascinated watching all the divisions, watching the wild card. You know, I remember when we went to the first wild card in '93, I got ripped. Man, did I get ripped. I said to somebody today, well, maybe even by you. I'm not even sure.
Come on.
Could be. Huh?
No.
And look how that's worked out. Now, of course, we have the other wild card. It's worked out great. So we're setting up for September, Nomar, to have some really fascinating races. Really fascinating races.
And what's really interesting, here it is, 22nd of July. We're scoreboard watching in Philadelphia.
You bet.
Giants and Phillies are tied at 2, playing in the third. And, of course, the Dodgers and Giants go to San Francisco from Pennsylvania tomorrow for the big weekend series.
Yes, you do. I was just going to say it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Plenty of good seats still available for you, Commissioner. Not so much for.
Well, I understand. Not for anybody else. Yeah, I understand that. That's a good thing, by the way. That's a good thing.
What's going on over in the American League? What's fascinating this year is that the Yankees and Red Sox are just part of the mix, as opposed to the Yankees and Red Sox
absolutely amazing.
Leading the pace.
They're absolutely amazing. The American League East has had quite a change from the fear of a few years ago, and that's the whole point. We were talking about other things of that. Oh, it's the Red Sox and the Yankees are going to dominate. Well, right now Baltimore looks awfully good, and Tampa's had a great run and coming back. I remark, actually, even the Red Sox are coming back. It's I'm not sure what's going to happen there, but it's really quite interesting.
And now July 31st takes on a whole new meaning over the next 3-4 days.
You bet.
Buyers, sellers, who knows?
You bet.
Beckett delivers to McCutcheon. Did he go around? No, says Laz Diaz.
Sir, you've had such a long career, and it's been a great career. The fans are better off. The players are better off. The ownership is better off. Baseball and the facilities are off the charts. What is your proudest moment or things that you think of right now that you go, wow, I'm so glad that I initiated that?
All I get, a lot of things, but mainly the economic changes, because they brought all this together. And so when I go from city to city, and I know all the concerns about change. You know, baseball for a long time didn't change anything, and resistant to change. I mean, whatever the situation was, well, we've never done it that way, and so on and so forth. But when I look at how different it is today from September 8th, 1992, when I took over, it makes me proud.
You know, some of the things you did, though, socially, you're commemorating Jackie Robinson, the retirement of his number, the RBI program, some of the other things other than the economics that you did out of your heart and as being a fan of baseball and of America.
Well, the Jackie Robinson, I've often said April 15th, 1947, Ebbets Field was the proudest moment and the most important moment in baseball history. And it was really, as it turns out, as a history buff, one of the great moments in the 20th century. It changed the culture of the country. It took too long. It should have taken place. I give Branch Rickey all the credit in the world. But the fact is that it did. And getting to know Rachel and Sharon, and Jackie's daughter, who works for us now, has been a real pleasure. And I regret, I wish I could have gotten to know Jackie Robinson.
Well, I'll tell you, as a former player, you doing that, it was quite an honor when we actually all get to put on 42 for that one game. I mean, it means so much to us, and what an honor. So I got to thank you for that, because...
Well, you know, just watching that on April 15th of every year is really good. It is so good, and it meant so much to the game, and that's what this game is about. I go back to my social institution, but if that doesn't prove it, if you think that what baseball did 3.5 years before Harry Truman desegregated the Army, 7 years before Brown versus Board of Education, 18 years before the Civil Rights Movement, but baseball, and Branch Rickey had the courage to do the right thing, and he did it.
And Rosa Parks in the bus.
And that's exactly right.
Finally, one mundane business of baseball question. And I'm just going to throw out one word and fill in the blank. Oakland.
Well, it's taken longer than I would like, but I've learned in this job that some things do, because they're complicated. You have two teams who have completely different views on the subject. But Lou Wolf today completed his lease with Oakland, which is very, very helpful. And like everything else, we'll get that solved. There is a solution there. We're just going to have to work and find it, but we will.
And somehow they're in first place and having a great year.
Doing all right. Yeah, they can complain all they want. I tell Lou Wolf is an old college fraternity brother of mine, and he was with me at the All-Star game. And one day we took a walk, and he was complaining a little, and I said, "You're in first place. Heck, if you were in fifth place, I could understand." And he laughed, and that was the end of the conversation.
So you're in a good place. You're happy to be where you are. And again, this, whether you care to characterize it or not, it is a sentimental journey. You know, it must be nice.
Well, it is. It is. I have deep feeling, and I think everybody who knows me knows how much I love the game and the passion for the game. So it's just fun to be here on a night like this and see it. This is what it's supposed to be, Charlie.
Indeed. As always, it's great to see you.
You too. A pleasure.
And love to see you.
Thank you. Take care. Good to see you again.
Oh, thank you.
Great to see you.
So much.
Thank you, sir.
Good to see you. Take care of yourself.
Baseball Commissioner Bud Selig joining us here in the bottom half of the third. And we'll see you in L.A. next month.
You will.
All right. That's good to hear. On 3-2, a line drive base hit headed toward the left field corner. So Walker tonight, a home run and a double. Rounding third and heading home to score is Snyder. And the Pirates, with their second run here in the bottom half of the third, have a 4-2 lead.
We talked about parity with the commissioner. The Dodgers got this game back to even to 2-2, but now Josh has not had a very good shutdown inning. The home run and then a string of different hits have really put the Pirates back in control of this game. Josh getting some exercise out there on the mound and being glad to be back. But right now the results are waning.
Well, tomorrow the forecast is for waning, but tonight it's not doing too well for Josh Beckett as Russell Martin steps in. And it's a strike, 0-1. There may be as many people who love the game of baseball as Bud Selig, but nobody loves it more. And you can see it as he conducts his business, as he goes about his business. And it's always a joy to visit with him. And he is understandably proud of this Pirate franchise and the resurgence of baseball in this town. Of course, 20 years the Pirates went without a winning season, but they're back in the saddle, and the Pirates are back in the lead, 4-2 in the bottom half of the third inning. No balls and 2 strikes to Russell Martin. He struck out in his first at-bat.
You know this inning right now is frustrating for Josh Beckett because after the Dodgers come back and tie the game for him, he's going out there thinking, okay, here's that shutdown inning. I need to come back and get him back in the dugout, and fortunately unable to do that.
Ike Davis is on deck as Walker leads from second. And Beckett's 57th pitch. Well, if you're going to get hit, you might as well get hit by a slow breaking ball.
It's one thing to come back. It's another thing to get out there, and there's hitters, and you're competing, and it's been a while, and you got a little rust, and this is just a breaking ball that shows a little bit of the rust from Josh Beckett.
A nearly disbelieving smile on the face of Josh Beckett. He's got 3 strikeouts. He's given up 3 home runs, and now he's hit a batter. Of course, Beckett coming into the game had the 4th lowest ERA in the National League. Rick Honeycutt's going to come out, have a chat with him. 4th lowest ERA, 4th lowest batting average against. And tonight, the Bucks are battling.
I bet you Josh Beckett, I think, looked frustrated at the fact that Russell Martin really didn't get out of the way of that breaking ball that was so slow, and it ends up hitting him in the elbow pad too as well. So that's frustrating him right now, and getting that hit batter. And I think he's got to really regroup right now, shake that off. Because you see this breaking ball, this is slow as a hitter. You can get out, you see it, and you just kind of left that elbow in there.
Hit him right on the armadillo.
Yeah, right. Not right on that arm, that that pad too. There
should be illegal to wear padding.
Ike Davis takes outside, 1 ball and no strike.
At least they're regulated now. In our day, that you could have it protruding. Barry Bonds had one for a while, protruding out about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. They took it away. He and Craig Biggio.
And they're really big.
Oh, huge, bulky things. Just look like armor.
In the old days, before the armadillos, getting hit by a pitch was a badge of honor. Then the protective gear came in. I'll take one for the team, as Mahalam warns in the Dodger pen. Davis pops it up, and Uribe, as Leva gets out of the way, the third base coach, and that ends the inning that seemingly would never end. Pirates come up with 2 runs. The big blast, a Polanco home run. As we go to the 4th, Pittsburgh a 4-2 leader. 1,500. Motor Trend's 2014 Truck of the Year and first ever back-to-back champion. It is a sultry Tuesday night in Pittsburgh at the confluence of the Allegheny, Monongahela, and Ohio rivers. 92 degrees, 47% humidity. And it's easy to perspire, but at the moment it looks like Josh Beckett is steamed, having given up 3 home runs. Pirates with a 4-2 lead as we begin the 4th. It'll be the bottom third of the order for the Dodgers: Uribe, Ellis, and Beckett. Uribe popped to short in his first at-bat. Bottom of the third in Philadelphia. The Giants and Phillies are tied at 2. And Uribe takes a strike. It's 0-1. Since 2001, so the last 13 plus seasons, the Dodgers against the Pirates are 40 games over 500. They're 69-29. The Dodgers against the Pirates is the most one-sided, quote-unquote, rivalry between any two teams in Major League Baseball. And since 2010, the Dodgers 21-8 against the Pirates. And here at PNC Park, since it opened in 2001, the Dodgers are 30-15. The pitcher and the manager in conference. Uribe takes a call, strikes 1. That's a 3rd strikeout for Vance Worley.
Well, Vance Worley really been trying to pound that side of the plate, first base side of home plate in the corner, and a few times he thinks he gets a strike, been called the ball, but that one definitely caught a lot more of that corner. It was a good pitch by Vance Worley and gets Uribe looking.
1 out, nobody on. A.J. Ellis bounced to second in his first at bat. Ellis at 214 takes under the knees, 1 ball and no strikes. Four runs, 5 hits for the Pirates, 2 runs and 4 hits for the Dodgers. And it's 2 balls and no strikes to A.J. Ellis, who pretty much since coming up to the major leagues has seen more pitches than any other batter per at bat. The polar opposite of the man sitting next to my right.
To each his own.
Yeah. A routine pop up to the right side. It is Walker. 2 out. And here comes Josh Beckett.
Yeah, earlier we saw Josh Beckett chatting with Don Mattingly, and I'm sure they were going over all the possible different situations. None of them panned out the way Don Mattingly wanted this inning. It could have been 1st and 2nd, no out. Josh, this is what we're going to do. Man on first, 1 out. This is what we're going to do. 2 out, nobody on. You're still hitting, protecting the bullpen, going out there to pitch.
No balls and a strike to Beckett.
In guaranteed bunt situations, a lot of times managers don't like to put the bunt sign on because it starts to give away future bunt signs when you want to put it on in the surprise time. And opposing teams are studying third base coaches, they're studying managers, they're studying the timing and rhythm of signs. And one of the best times to get it is when it's a guaranteed sign. You can really study the video at that moment to kind of decipher people's signs. A lot of times managers will put it on verbally with their pitcher before they even go into the on-deck circle.
Josh Beckett, first-round pick of the Marlins in 1999. He was a 2nd pick overall.
Well, he came in angry after that last inning, and he's angry right now after fouling that ball off his foot. Oh.
I don't need this, too. Two balls, 2 strikes to Beckett. side. Once upon a time, a long time ago, Josh Beckett was traded along with Mike Lowell for Hanley Ramirez, among others. That was the big deal back in the winter of 2005. Red Sox wanted Beckett. The Marlins said, "You got to take Mike Lowell too, because he's got a lot of money involved." And the Red Sox said, "Okay."
It's amazing how many deals nowadays are trading of players and contracts, and sometimes at the same time.
And Hanley Ramirez was a young prospect then. Now D. Gordon, who's 0 for 2 tonight. Actually 0 for 1, a sacrifice in his first at bat, although it looked like he was bunting for a base hit more than anything else, but he'll take the sack. Top of the 4th in Philadelphia. Giants and Phillies are tied at 2. The Bronx cheer has filtered westward to Pittsburgh. Alvarez makes the play. Force out at second. Inning is over. We'll go to the bottom of the 4th. Pirates 4-2. You know, in 1977, Steve Garvey, Ron Say, Dusty Baker, and Reggie Smith became the first set of 4 teammates to hit 30 home runs in the same season. And the Dodgers will honor this achievement Thursday, July 31st at Dodger Stadium. The first 50,000 fans in attendance take home an original 30 home run club bobblehead presented by Security Benefit. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. So Josh Beckett retired the Pirates with the greatest of ease in the first inning, but surrendered 2 home runs in the second, gave up 1 home run, a couple of more runs in the third, and so the Pirates with the 4-2 lead as we head to the bottom of the 4th. Josh, as you see by the pitch count, the difficulty he had in the 3rd inning in particular. A little late to begin the bottom of the 4th because Beckett was still out on base when the final out was recorded. What have you seen so far, Paul?
You know, there's a fine line between being healthy and throwing, and then throwing and pitching. And he's having a little trouble pitching, and he's running up against a good hitting club. There's a little bit of rust, but you know what? I am very confident that he's going to have a good second half, because it doesn't look like he's in any pain, and he is free and easy. So the results have not been good yet, but the health looks real good.
Now here's Alvarez. He takes high and away, 1 ball, no strikes, fly to center in his first at bat. No question about his power potential with 15 home runs this year. Outside, 2 balls and no strikes. Among all the third basemen in the National League, only Todd Frazier of the Reds, who has 18, has more home runs than Pedro Alvarez. Jordy Mercer is on deck, and then Vance Warner. But with the power of Alvarez come a lot of strikeouts. He's been fanned 92 times this year. Just short of about a strikeout a game. Drilled into the right field corner for a base hit. And Alvarez will go to second base. There are no sure hops off that 21-foot right field fence. There's a chain link fence that protects the out-of-town scoreboard. So Alvarez with his 11th two-base hit of the year.
The pitch before, Beckett gets him swinging at a fastball that was a little bit up in the zone. He swings underneath it. There you're looking for a fastball away. That's where Ellis was set up, and that ball comes back on the inner half. And Pedro Alvarez gets the barrel out in front and scolds it to right field.
That's the 6th hit given up by Beckett. 3 home runs, 2 doubles, and a single. Paul Maholm, who came up with the Pirates originally, back warming up in the Dodger bullpen. And that one's well hit. Crawford going back. On the warning track, he'll make the catch. Tagging and going to third is Alvarez.
Ball is scorched. Josh again makes a mistake up and in the middle of the plate. Up and on the inner half, not real good, and up in the middle of the plate, not real good. The good thing about it is Carl had enough room. Josh is going to have to pitch his way out of this jam now with a man on third and less than 2 outs.
And so Don Mattingly brings the infield in. A.J. Ellis is coming out. So is Mattingly. And this may well be the end of the line for Mattingly and Beckett.
66 pitches, just coming back. There was real no pitch count on Josh tonight, even though he had been on the DL. He didn't lose a lot of arm strength or endurance, and the work was done on his left hip, not on his arm. They look like they're stalling to maybe make sure that Paul's ready.
Well, Holland has been up now twice. Usually when Madden comes out, he brings the pitcher back with him. Not so this time.
Josh convinced him he's all right, and he wanted to try and finish his own business.
66 pitches have been thrown, and 6 of them have been ripped. Worley has 2 sacrifice bunts. It's a breaking ball for a strike, 0-1. The infield is in. Nick Leyva, third base coach. Gregory Polanco is on deck. Bottom of the 4th in Philadelphia. Giants and Phillies are tied at 2. Big rip. 0-2.
Good job getting ahead of him, Charlie. And I'll tell you right now, you've got to take 2 shots to strike him out. And now some pressure might go on to A.J. Ellis if they decide to bounce the breaking ball, because that will probably get Worley out. He's got to make sure he keeps it in front of him.
Alvarez leading off third, and Worley swings and misses. That's the 4th strikeout for Beckett. 2 out, and Polanco coming up.
They didn't risk the curveball in the dirt for the possible pass ball wild pitch. They decided to go with the hard cutter, and Josh started it on the corner and ran it off in a big way.
Now Gregory Polanco slide to left and homer to right, and now it's the end of the line for Beckett. Polanco left-handed hitter, Snyder on deck, a left-handed hitter, and the lefty Paul Maholm warming in the bullpen will be summoned in. Dodgers trailing at 4-2, runner at third, 2 out, bottom half of the 4th. Maholm on his way in, Beckett on his way out. Return coming off the disabled list, didn't do well. 4 runs, 6 hits, and 3 2/3. 4 strikeouts, no walks, 3 home runs. He leaves on the losing side of the ledger, 4-2. So here's Paul Maholm. Maholm came up with the Pirates, making his 27th appearance for the Dodgers. Paul out of the bullpen. Maholm's made 8 starts with the Dodgers, the rest of his 29 appearances have been in relief.
And he keeps it no secret that he would love to start, but understands the situation here in LA, that he has been an insurance policy for the rotation, and at times has gotten in there and other times pitched out of the bullpen. But a veteran who understands it, I think he'll be starting sometime in his future. It could be in the Dodger uniform, and it could be in another one someday.
Came up with the Pirates in 2005, a year with the Cubs in 2012, then on to Atlanta, and now with the Dodgers. So lefty against lefty. Polanco takes a strike, and it's 0-1.
Coming into this game, Polanco versus right-handers hitting .290, and big difference between left-handers, a 143 mark.
And it just went down some. Gordon throws him out, and that ends the inning. No runs. Pirates squander a leadoff double. We'll go to the 5th with Turner, Gonzalez, and Kemp coming up for the Dodgers, who trail by 2. As we go to the 5th inning, the Pirates with a 4-2 lead. Mahalam now in the game, and Alvarez struggling defensively at third, and so Josh Harrison is taking over at third base. Vance Worley along the way. So far so good for the Pirate right-hander Alvarez, heading for the shower. Worley through 4 innings has given up 2 runs and 4 hits. He has struck out 3 and walked 2. That was Turner getting one of those 2 walks back in the 3rd inning. He would come around to score on an Ethier base hit. Call strike to Turner, and it's 0-1. Starting again with Hanley Ramirez on the sideline. A bruised and battered hand, being hit by a pitch the other night. He and Puig still sitting it out. Turner takes a strike, and Worley's done a nice job to this point.
He has. You know, I'm really impressed with his movement. The fact that he is able to throw the 2-seamer and the cutter and the 4-seamer and be so consistent with them so far. A lot of times when a guy's on one side of the ball predominantly, he really has trouble getting to the other side of the baseball to move it the other direction consistently. But he's had the ability to move it in both directions and hit both sides of the plate.
Out of Sacramento.
And watching him, I know the radar gun doesn't light up. He averages around 90 to 91, but it seems like it gets on you quicker as a hitter. Even though you're thinking, what does that mean? But some guys with just a deceptive, the way he throws across his body, it just seems like it's getting on you a lot faster than that 91 to 92 is indicating.
Out of Long Beach State is Vance Worley, and Gonzalez tonight, sacrifice fly and a single to right, knocked in his 63rd run of the year. The young umpire Toby Basner is hearing it from the Dodger dugout. Gonzalez wasn't thrilled with the called strike. Pirates had the big shift on for Gonzalez. He spanked a line drive into right through that shift in his first at bat.
You garner more respect as a young umpire taking the heat and then doing the best job you can than barking back.
Into center field, and McCutcheon is there. Even though Gonzalez flies to center in the scorebook, he was right on the button on that one. Pedro Alvarez, as we mentioned, out of the game and heading into third base. Looked like he pulled up a little bit lame. Inside the knee, apparently, and so Josh Harrison is taken over at third base. Kemp with 2 out and nobody on. Fouls it back, 0-1.
That explains the move, because boy, it looked like it was a little early for a defensive switch, only up by 2 and going into the 5th. So and Hurdle makes the move.
National League Manager of the Year last year in his 4th season in Pittsburgh, and their first winning season in 20 years. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Once again, it's fun to come to Pirate games at beautiful PNC Park. Another good crowd tonight. Drew over 28,000 last night. Capacity here is about 38,000. Polanco is there in a 1-2-3 inning for Vance Worley, and the halfway mark after 4.5. Pirates 4-2.
Walker up for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and before last season it had been over 2 decades before the Pittsburgh Pirates had made it into the postseason. We have to go back to the NLCS in 1992, and of course it is now known as the Sid Bream curse. Sid Bream of the Atlanta Braves, even though he's a Pittsburgh native, beat out Barry Bonds' throw from left field, ending the Pirates' run in the postseason. And until last year, they hadn't made the playoffs since that time. Neil Walker, of course from the Pittsburgh area, was watching that game as a 7-year-old at the time, started bawling after the Pirates lost the game. His brothers were teasing him. Of course, Neil Walker, one of the guys on the team last year that got the Buccos back to the postseason, guys. The Sid Bream curse is over.
And grew up in Pittsburgh, did Neil Walker. And his dad, a marginal major league pitcher in his day.
He's not crying today. He's got a couple of RBIs and a home run.
So he'll be batting third in the inning. It is Snyder who's leading it off. And Travis with a single and a run scored in 2 at-bats tonight. Pirates 4 runs and 6 hits. Dodgers 2 runs and 4 base hits. Here's Mahalam on in relief of Josh Beckett. Snyder, left-handed hitter. Last night, Starling Marte starting in left field, a right-hander. Nice room service, hopped a little bit high, but Turner makes the play, 1 out. Turner filling in for Hanley Ramirez a second night. Paul Mahalam, when he came up with the Pirates in 2005, when they were still mired in the aforementioned curse, he and Zach Duke and Ian Snell were supposed to be the big 3 pitchers who were going to carry the Pirates and end the curse. Well, the curse ended and they were gone. Coincidence or not, we don't know. But that's where we are. Duke, now a relief pitcher. I don't even know if Snell is in baseball anymore. So here is Paul Mahalam facing Andrew McCutchen. McCutchen is 0 for 2. Now the count is 1-1. In the middle of the 5th in Philadelphia, Giants have a 3-2 lead. Of course, the Dodgers and Giants tied for first in the West. Pirates began the night 2.5 behind Milwaukee. Tonight's matchup is interesting for many reasons. One of them, the Pirates have the best home record in the National League at 32-21. The Dodgers have the best road record in Major League Baseball at 31-21. Mattingly and his pitching coach Rick Honeycutt. Honeycutt's Charges, team ERA 3.29, 3rd best in the league, and their starters, of course, the best in baseball. Although Beckett was roughed up some tonight. Dan Herron is trying to get back on his horse tomorrow.
Strike zone had it inside. Try and keep McCutchen from extending those arms.
Uribe. Two out, nobody on here in the 5th. And the one thing about Paul Mahalam, when he comes in, he can give you some length. He can give you some innings.
Yeah, he had the spot start against San Diego, which he pitched so fantastically, even though he was in the bullpen for a while and had lost some endurance. He told Mattingly and Rick Honeycutt, don't worry about a pitch count. I'll go as far as I can go. If I'm effective, leave me out there. I don't care if I go 85, 100 pitches, even though he was not really built up. He has one of those arms where it's kind of very much a rubber arm, and felt like he's in shape enough to do whatever it takes.
And an easy inning for Mahalam here in the bottom half of the 5th. In the top of the 6th, the Dodgers will present Ethier, Crawford, and Juan Uribe against Vance Worley. PNC Park, open for business since 2001. The Dodgers will be here tomorrow night, and we'll be back on the air with you along about 4 o'clock Pacific. Thursday, an off day, and then the big weekend series with the Giants. The Dodger calendar brought to you by 76. Off day next Monday, then the Braves come into town. 23 of the next 26 games, including tonight's. The Dodgers are facing teams with a record of better than 500. And on the year against plus 500 teams, the Dodgers are 16-24. Kershaw and Greinke and Ryu are going to be in San Francisco. Strike 0-1 to Andre Ethier, who has singled and has been struck out. That's Drew Gutierrez going to be catching tomorrow. Line drive right into the glove of Josh Harris. A couple of months ago, not necessarily been an out. The transfer play, such that it was short-lived, and thankfully. Now Carl Crawford. And that one gets past Harrison, and Crawford takes a big turn. Snyder gets the ball back in a hurry. So Crawford with a base hit. He's 1 for 3.
And we saw Andre Ethier line out right at the third baseman, but Carl Crawford staying inside that and drives it the other way and finds the hole. And he was thinking double right when he hit that. Just Snyder got to that so quickly and threw it in perfectly to second base.
Talk to the Pittsburgh folks. I'll tell you, left field is a much more difficult place to play here than right field, especially with the angle of the wall down the left field line, and so little space along the sidewall down the third base line.
This is a place where the offense needs to try and respond and pick on Worley before you get to the matchup bullpen of Pittsburgh. A good job coming back when they were down by 2.
Uribe 0 for 2. Harrison, tough play, throws it high and wide and into the stands. Now Crawford will be held at third base. The second error of the night for the Pirates. They're 72nd of the year, and the Dodgers are in business second and third with 1 man out.
Well, this was that high chopper. Uribe running down, and I'll tell you, I think Uribe might have beat this out anyway on a good throw, but they'll take the error to get to second base, so I think it should go down as a hit and an error. And now, as you said, Oro, Dodgers in business here.
Well, the Carl's Cam replay with the hit and the error. And A.J. Ellis, second and third. Infield back with the Pirates leading by 2. Ellis is 0 for 2. He's bounced to second and popped to second. So the tying runs are aboard here in the 6th. Ellis fouls it back. 1 ball, 1 strike to A.J. Ellis.
Paul Maholm on deck. I don't think he will hit. It'll be interesting to see if Yasiel Puig or Hanley Ramirez, either one is healthy enough to play. Looks like Yasiel's moving around right there with his head down.
And a bat in his hand. Jamie Wright warming up in the Dodger bullpen. 1 and 2 now to A.J. Ellis.
I'll tell you, now that you're behind in the count here with the infield back, even a ground ball to the second baseman would be good. You get 1 in at the very least. You still have a lot of game left. You're here just in the 6th inning to make it by 1, but at least you'll get the runner over to third base and make it difficult also for the pitcher, for the next batters, that he's scared to throw one in the dirt because the tying run is 90 feet.
It's Hughes up in the bullpen.
Jared Hughes.
One thing about that is that you got a righty up in the bullpen, a righty on the mound, so it's not going to be about a matchup. And I think Clint Hurdle thinking that Don Mattingly will go with a Puig or Ramirez pinch hitter, so doesn't really go with the left-hander up in the bullpen, worrying about a lefty coming in, because the Dodger bench is all right-handed.
Hurdle has 2 lefties in his bullpen. And Ellis with a line drive base hit into center field. In to score is Crawford. And right behind him is Uribe. Ellis on the throw to the plate goes to second. And the Dodgers have tied it at 4. For A.J. Ellis, RBIs 9 and 10.
Well, I was talking about even a ground ball to second base would go well, but he stayed back so well on this ball and inside out. It drove it to right center. It's a textbook swing right there, drives it in, and also they take advantage of a rare bad throw by McCutchen over there in center field. Slipped out of his hand. See him right here. It looks like this ball just slipped. Yep, definitely slipped out of his hand, and Ellis now in scoring position.
And it allows Maholm to hit. And it's a brand new ball game. And Josh Beckett is off the hook. Now the game at this point is Maholm's hand as far as a win or a loss. Base hit here, he can help himself to a victory. Dodgers have now out-hit the Pirates 7-6. And the Phillies have taken the lead over the Giants in Philadelphia. Phillies batting in the bottom of the 5th, lead at 5-3. If you're just joining us, the commissioner of baseball, Bud Selig, was in the booth a little while ago, and he is just smiling from ear to ear with all the great pennant races, especially in the National League. As play began tonight, of course, the Dodgers and Giants were tied for first. Milwaukee was a half a game in front of St. Louis, 2.5 in front of the Pirates, 3.5 in front of Cincinnati, and Washington leads Atlanta by 1. Scoreboard watching on the 22nd of July. Maholm takes strike 3. 5th strikeout for Worley.
Some fans might be thinking, why didn't they hit for Paul Maholm right there? But the tie game really gives Don Mattingly a little flexibility to extend Maholm in this game and protect his bullpen for tomorrow. With Dan Herron pitching tomorrow, I believe that Mattingly might have hit for Maholm right there if it had been Kershaw or Greinke or maybe Ryu pitching tomorrow. But I think he's looking at keeping the thickness now that the game is tied for the rest of this game and for tomorrow's game.
And you throw into the mix, it's got a full arsenal on the bench. Greinke's going to be pitching over the weekend in San Francisco, and Greinke, of course, a Silver Slugger Award winner last year when he hit .328, so he almost certainly been batting for himself. Ellis at second base, and Gordon fouls it off to the left. Gordon today is 0 for 2 and a sacrifice. He's also 3rd in the National League with runners in scoring position, hitting .361. And 6th in the league with 112 base hits. Into center field and right at McCutchen. But the Dodgers get off the mat. The big blow delivered with 1 out. A.J. Ellis knocking home Carl Crawford, and Juan Uribe will go to the bottom half of the 6th. The Dodgers and Pirates are all tied up at 4. In Philadelphia, they go to the 6th inning. The Phillies a 5-3 lead. We are tied at 4 in the bottom of the 6th in Pittsburgh. And MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is celebrating 12 years. Join the millions of subscribers. Watch every out-of-market game live in true HD on over 400 devices. Visit Dodgers.com for details. Jimmy Rollins hit a home run for the Phillies in the bottom of the 5th. Marlon Byrd doubled home a run. And so they're going to the 6th inning at Citizens Bank. And the Dodgers are fierce Philly fans tonight. Here's Russell Martin, who has struck out and has been hit by a pitch. A.J. Ellis with a big single in the center, plating 2. Ties the score for the Dodgers. Martin struck out in the 2nd, hit by a pitch right on that protective gear on the elbow in his last at bat. Russell Martin came up with the Dodgers in 2005. Grounded foul past Nick Glaver. We're back 8, 9, 10 years ago. The Jacksonville 5. With Martin and Loney and Billingsley and LaRoche. And Kemp. Billingsley, of course, on the disabled list. LaRoche is gone. Martin is here. Into center field with a base hit. So a leadoff single for Russell Martin in the bottom half of the 6th inning. We often talk, Oral, about a shutdown inning, and this is something Maholm needs, and so did the Dodgers.
Yeah, they tried to keep the thickness in the bullpen and let Paul hit for himself. He needs to reward Don Mattingly and the Dodgers after crawling off the mat twice. The first time Josh Beckett gave up 2. The Dodgers came right back. Now they come back for Paul and Don. Need to get a double play ball right here. Left on left situation.
Jamie Wright is up again for the Dodgers in the bullpen. As you can see, Ike Davis has had no success against left-handed pitching. But against Beckett in the 2nd inning, Davis hit a home run. Justin Wilson is the left-hander warming up for the Pirates as Jamie Wright warms for the Dodgers.
Mike Davis still uses the large hitch that really we saw removed from guys like we saw in St. Louis, John Jay, Colton Wong. And Mets have tried to remove the hitch. He's tried a little bit here, but he still drops his hands an awful lot. He continues to tease teams and management and scouts because he has such tremendous power when he hits the ball.
Into left field, and it's a base hit. So the Pirates are in business, 1st and 2nd, with nobody out in the bottom of the 6th. After the Dodgers scored a couple in the top half of the inning.
He really shortened up right there, Nomar. Shorter hitch and shorter slap swing.
You can see he was just, hands were close to his body. Right here, you talk about that hitch. There it goes down. But he still was really short and quick to the ball, just throwing the barrel at it as compared to being long. You can see the angle of the barrel went straight to the ball as compared to being down and kind of being very loopy, which he often does. Either usually misses that ball or fouls that ball off, but there stayed on top and gets a nice single.
With Josh Harrison, right-handed batter, coming up, Don Mattingly is coming out. And in all likelihood, he is going to take Paul Maholm with him. And here comes Jamie Wright. So the veteran right-hander will inherit a 1st and 2nd nobody out situation in the bottom of the 6th. The Pirates and Dodgers are tied at 4. Friday on Christmas Eve in his 17th big league season, making his 37th appearance of the year. He will be facing Josh Harrison. Harrison did not start the game. Pedro Alvarez did, but Alvarez would pull up lame running to third base back in the 4th inning. When he arrived at third base, he told Nick Leva, "There's something wrong with my left knee." Well, they sent him into the clubhouse, and we received word from the clubhouse there's something wrong with his left knee. So Harrison is in, and it'll be righty against righty. Harrison and Wright.
Well, Jamie Wright hadn't been out there for about 10 days, and his last outing in San Diego was not very successful, so he's going to have to call on some real good mental confidence right here. Keep the ball down, get himself a double play, and that's what he and D. Gordon are talking about right there, about who's going to get it if it's coming back to me.
Wright made his major league debut with the Rockies in 1996. He was a first-round pick. And from Colorado, he's on to Milwaukee, Kansas City, San Francisco, Texas, Cleveland, Seattle, Dodgers, Rays, and back to the Dodgers. Now Harrison, might he be sacrificing here? The Dodgers have the corners pinched in. Uribe barehands it, throws to first. Martin will go to third. Davis will go to second on the perfectly executed sacrifice bunt by Josh Harrison. Second and third, one out, and Jordy Mercer coming up.
This was perfectly executed. You want to bunt it to the third baseman because as he fields it, no one's covering third. Makes it easy for the runners to advance. And now you have two guys in scoring position, and I'm sure the infield will be playing him.
And that they are. Mercer 0 for 2, struck out and flied to left. Well, now they're retreating. Turner and D. Gordon. Gonzalez and Uribe halfway, out even with the bag at the corners. Nothing in one. Interesting at this point of the game, Don Mattingly is willing to sacrifice a run for an out.
He's come in at the corners and back up the middle. It makes it a little harder on the runner on third because he has to read the angle off the bat if they're going to decide to go on contact, or if they're going to make the ball go through, or they're going to go on the ball at the middle but stay on the ball at the corners. So it's slightly more complicated for the third base coach and the runner.
Gabby Sanchez in the on deck circle to pinch hit. Mercer, no balls and 2 strikes.
Excellent breaking ball right there from Jamie Wright. That ball had a lot of depth. Take a look at this ball, just dive and late.
And then there are times we see infielders now come in and it's like, okay, he has 2 strikes on him. Now maybe I can bring in my infield because he's going to take a shorter swing. He's probably just thinking about, hey, well, if they're back, I can just hit it up the middle and still knock the run in.
I'd like to see that right now. The middle infielders maybe pinch into halfway.
And I'll tell you, right before this pitch, D. Gordon was looking in for that sign. He was looking to see if they'd give him that sign to come on in.
Bobby Valentine used to crash his infielders in this situation.
On 0-2, just outside and high.
The crashing of it does 2 things to the hitter. One, sometimes it distracts you a little bit because now all of a sudden there's movement, and then as you're thinking up the middle saying, okay, I can just get a nice easy ground ball, well,
you hit it right into the defense.
Exactly.
That's a pitch right there Jamie Wright just got away with. Throw that great breaking ball down and get a swing and miss, and then kind of hung that one.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Mercer. Breaking ball inside. But when the infielders crash and the ball is to your right or to your left, your momentum's taking you in, and then suddenly you have to make a quick stop.
Because by the time you stop, by the time you can crash, you time it where you're crashing, and then you're in a position to move right or left before the ball actually crosses the hitting zone.
When the ball gets to the hitting zone, you got to be balanced.
Yep. Yeah, if you're already moving, you're in trouble for sure.
On 2-2 to Mercer, who has struck out 60 times this year, make it 61. Big strikeout for Wright.
That's quite a changeup slash split finger right there from J-Mo.
I think he got 4 strikes on Mercer because that breaking ball on the pitch before was a good pitch, and then able to get him swinging on that one.
That ball just dove right there. He's got some really good arm strength right now, and he is not throwing. He's being patient with his mechanics and getting very good action with the ball. A lot of times you haven't pitched for about 10 days, like we saw maybe with Josh Beckett. You can throw and the ball gets elevated, but Jamie's keeping it together and made some good pitches.
And here is Gabby Sanchez. 2 on and 2 out. Pinch hitting now. It's high and inside, 1 ball and no strike. Matt Kemp grew up admiring the work of Jamie Wright. When Kemp was in junior high school and in high school growing up in Oklahoma, he saw Wright work all the time. Sliced foul. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Jamie has a lot of respect in the Dodger clubhouse for what he has done in his career and also the way he conducts himself and goes about his business, and couldn't wait to get back in this Dodger uniform when he got a chance.
Vance Worley cannot lose the game, and depending on whether or not the Pirates score a run here in the bottom of the 6th, has a chance to win it. Well, you talked to Jamie Wright. He wished he didn't have to go to Tampa Bay last year. And you talked to Ned Colletti. He wished he didn't let him go to Tampa Bay. Both sides are certainly happy with his return. But Wright falls behind 3-1. And Gregory Polanco, who is homered in 3 at-bats, on deck.
I don't think Jamie will give in right here. This is not about, oh, I don't want to walk him. This is about, I need to get him out or the next guy.
Will have to be the next guy.
I've seen the last 2 batters, though. I think Jamie Wright's gotten squeezed a little bit on a few pitches as well, which has put him in those positions. I thought with Mercer, he struck him out, but even the pitch before, I thought he struck him out looking with a good breaking ball, and then there was that breaking ball on Sanchez. It was called the ball. So right now they're regrouping, trying to figure out how they need to attack Polanco.
Polanco in the 3rd inning with a home run to right, his 4th of the season.
Well, the fact that was on a high fastball, and A.J. Ellis had a meeting with Jamie Wright. You got Jamie, who had been in the bullpen when that home run was hit. A.J., who was in the game. They were probably going over the scouting report, how Jamie wants to attack him, and what A.J. has seen so far in the earlier at-bats tonight.
Polanco will turn 23 in September. He was signed by the Pirates as a non-drafted free agent out of the Dominican Republic 5 years ago. So they've been waiting for him. They think he's going to be a big star. Certainly at the minor league level, he's done awfully well.
You can get a pretty easy out on this pitch right here if you can make it look like a strike and end up on a corner or take a little off. Blanco definitely wants to swing the bat after already having a home run tonight.
The bases are loaded and 2 out. The walk given up by Jamie Wright, the first walk given up by Dodger pitching tonight. Dodgers walked just 1 Pirate batter last night and 2 to the Cardinals on Sunday night. Bases are loaded with 2 out. One ball, 2 strikes. Dodgers scored 2 to tie the score in the top half of the 6th. Hoping for a shutdown inning, but it's been quite a journey to the finish line here in the 6th.
from discussion before the at bat to a 1-2 count to the signals multiple because there's a man on second.
1-2 to Gregory Polanco. Just outside. Gone to the bottom of the 6th in Philadelphia. The Phillies lead the Giants 5-3.
This is the pitch here, Nomar, for me. 2-2. You don't want to get to 3-2 and let the runner start. Then you got to go. The ball's got to go to first base. Don't have it out at any base. And this is the pitch as the pitcher that you can still make look like a strike and end up a ball and get somebody out.
Crawford, Ethier, and Kemp deep and straight away for Polanco.
Yeah, definitely, because as a hitter, that's going through your head as well. You're thinking he doesn't want to get me 3-2. He's going to probably throw a strike. Want to throw a strike here. So you're looking for something in the strike zone. And it's a good thing that they call a timeout, because they recognize how big this pitch is, get on the same page. And that way, too, even if the guy at second happened to be knowing your signs, now the runner on second can't relay him. Not saying that he is by any means, but it just erases that out of the equation.
This is not about preventing multiple runs. This is about one run. So if you get to the 3-2 count, you do want to throw a strike there because you don't want to walk the go-ahead run late in the game in.
Polanco came into the game hitless in 11 at-bats. He's 4 for his last 38. Here's the 2-2. High and away, 3-2. That's Snyder on deck. And he's 1 for 3 and a run scored tonight. Biggest pitch of the game to this point coming up. Into left field for a base hit. 1 run is in and 2 runs are in. Polanco delivers. The Pirates retake the lead 6-4. Martin and Davis come in on the run-producing single to left by Gregory Polanco.
The 2-2 pitch is a ball that stays the ball. The 3-2 pitch, you've got to get in the strike zone, not to walk the go-ahead run. So he elevates it slightly on a cutter, gets it to a place where they can put the barrel on it and find some grass.
This is not only a big game for the Dodgers, tied for first place with the Giants, but the Pirates as well. Grounded through into left field for a base hit. Sanchez will score. 3rd run of the 6th, and the Pirates take a 7-4 lead. Snyder with his 2nd hit.
We saw that ball going down the middle for Polanco. This one, you're looking for the ball away, catches too much of the plate. And you also got to give the hitter a little credit there as well, going with that ball, going the other way, not trying to pull that ball and pulling off of it.
Now Rick Honeycutt coming out to talk with Wright and the infielders. Well, Vance Worley now can only win the game, cannot lose it. As his Pirate teammates score 3 in the bottom of the 6th, and their best player, Andrew McCutchen, the 8th batter of the inning, coming up.
Jamie Wright comes on, gets a sacrifice and a strikeout, and is really close to a lot of high fives in the dugout to get Paul Maholm out of a 1st and 2nd no-out jam. But then the wheels start coming off. A walk, which was not that bad with first base open, but then the 2 base hits have really opened up the inning.
And the Dodger bullpen is quiet. McCutchen tonight is 0 for 3. Pirates 7 runs and 10 hits. And McCutchen is hit by a pitch, and the wheels are coming undone for Jamie Wright.
This one just gets away. I don't think Jamie is trying to hit him at all. A.J. Ellis is sitting low and away, and this ball just comes out of his hand too early. McCutcheon does an outstanding job getting his shoulder turned, or he might get one in the jaw. It'll wake up some sentiment on the Pittsburgh side because of the situation and the runs being tallied off of Jamie, but I don't think in any way that was intentional.
Well, here's Neil Walker, the 9th batter of the inning, and he's got the bases loaded. The Dodgers had just tied the score in the top of the 6th. The Pirates with a chance to blow this game open in the bottom of the 6th. And the Dodgers are coming undone. Polanco comes in to score on a wild pitch. 4th run of the inning is now 8-4 Pittsburgh.
AJ tried to reach out there and backhand. It doesn't really get that much leather on it. A lot of times you'll see him kind of jump down with your knees and block it with your chest. He thought he could reach it with the glove and was mistaken.
Dodgers battling back in the top of the 6th with 2. The Pirates respond in the bottom of the 6th with 4, and Walker takes inside.
There's a lot of fodder that'll come Don Mattingly's way at the end of this game because he decided to let Paul Mulholland hit for himself in a tie game and only 1 out, and then made the move when Paul had a situation of 1st and 2nd and no out. It looked like he was going to get through the inning, but Jamie Wright has kind of melted down here.
Turner picks it up and throws him out. That ends the inning. But the Pirates bat around and score 4. As we head to the 7th, they lead the Dodgers 8-4. Pirates come up with 4 in the bottom of the 6th, leading by 4. Come on out to Dodger Stadium Friday, August the 1st. And the Dodgers host the Cubs at 7:10. And after the game, fans invited down to the field to enjoy a Friday night fireworks show paying tribute to Vin Scully with music from the decades of his career. Presented by Denny's. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. New pitcher for the Pirates, Southern California product Justin Wilson, a 5th round pick in 2008 by the Pirates. Proud graduate of Buchanan High School in Clovis. And pitched for Fresno State in the College World Series. Here's Justin Turner. The Dodgers have a whole lot of work to do. They evened the score in the top of the 6th and gave up 4 in the bottom half. Turner, Gonzalez, and Kemp. They're going to the 7th in Philadelphia. Phillies 5-3 over the Giants. Inside, that got up there in a hurry at 97. The Pirates have been an iffy proposition down the stretch this year. Getting to the closer hasn't been bad. The closer, well, here's Justin Turner. He's not happy about that at all. And Wilson's just been thrown out of the game. And Clint Hurdle's going to come out and argue with home plate umpire Toby Basner. Turner is still torqued. Laz Diaz, a former Marine, as you can see, he's built like one, is walking Turner to first base. Well, the Dodgers certainly have had their fair share of pitches thrown at them. And Hurdle may soon be following Wilson into the clubhouse.
It smells like retaliation. I think it is, and they're retaliating for something that I don't think was on purpose. They're just retaliating for a situation that developed where their best player was hit after the Dodgers were giving up runs and the inning was melting down. But in no way do I think Jamie Wright was trying to hit Andrew McCutchen. He just happened to hit him in a bad situation where it looked like it could have been on purpose.
There was no intent by Jamie Wright. I mean, that was just, you could tell Jamie Wright didn't have command. And now, you know, Clint was trying to get, you know, he was going out there, you know, eventually was going to get tossed in this situation.
But it's a situation where a manager can take a hold of the moment and understand the moment to galvanize his club and his fan base.
Mission accomplished. So Hurdle is gone. Wilson is gone.
What's not appreciated by Justin Turner is it took 2 shots.
Yeah, I think that's what happens. You saw the first one come in. This is why, because they hit Andrew McCutchen.
But it's not a shooting gallery. And, you know, we saw Clayton Kershaw deliver some retribution the other night, and he hit Matt Holliday, and he hit him in the wallet, and he did it right on the very first pitch. And if he'd have missed, you kind of like, you miss your shot, that was it. It's over with. This one took multiple tries.
So much for the silly notion of laid-back Southern Californians, huh? Justin Turner getting plunked by Justin Wilson.
Well, I'll tell you, this is, the Dodgers have the ability to let that spark down. You know, wake them up, get back into this game. You know you're down, but you're not out of it. You got a few innings, and now you got the leadoff runner and put some runs on the board.
Puig and Rojas. Of course, Puig was hit by a pitch in St. Louis.
It's interesting too that, you know, Clint Hurdle knows that maybe that message is going to be delivered, and he lets one of his left-handers do it because the Dodgers have an all right-handed bench. So he was worried about matchups, and now with the game slightly out of whack score-wise, 8-4. He doesn't mind losing a piece out of the bullpen.
So Justin Wilson's warming in the bullpen. Come in and plunk this guy. And if that was his assignment, mission accomplished.
I tell you, oftentimes that's not, the manager's not telling you, hey, come in and hit that guy. I'll tell you, it's one of those where even if he's not really aware as he's warming up in the bullpen what he's supposed to do, I'll tell you, Russell Martin's one of those guys, a veteran who's been around, who knows exactly what he's trying to accomplish, and probably either let him know when he came out during the warm-up in the middle of the half inning, and then He was also set up on the inside to act like we're looking for the ball inside as they try to hit Justin Turner.
And this is one of those situations that we'll tell you, Nomar and I, that we've been on the bench, and there is a gray area, and there's conversations going on both benches right now about on purpose, not on purpose. Did we do the right thing? Are we both even? Is this over with? And it's an ongoing conversation. There are situations that something will happen. Okay, it was done professionally, and that's what happened in St. Louis. But this is one of those gray area ones where there's going to be a lot of discussion about it.
Kershaw and Ellis, the young home plate umpire Toby Basner, who is emphatic. There is no doubt in his mind about what he saw in terms of intent. Jeff Nelson, the crew chief.
And I think a lot of that has to do that it took just 2 pitches. As compared to the very first pitch and you hit him, the fact that he saw that the first one was way in there and it looked like there was intent, and then the second one that got him.
If he hits him on the first one, you might get warnings to both benches.
Right.
You take 2 shots at him, it's a quick hook.
It was a quick hook. Well, let's see what kind of a fire that sparks in the Dodgers. Adrian Gonzalez steps in. He's got to hit a sacrifice fly, and he flied to center. Top of the 7th, Phillies lead the Giants 5-3. And Gonzalez bunting up the third base line with the shift up.
Great idea right there by Adrian Gonzalez. You're going to play the shift. You see everybody. I mean, it is wide open there at third base. He's just trying to keep this fair. You need base runners right now. Him hitting a home run isn't going to tie this game. So he's just trying to get on base, keep this inning alive to try to keep get a rally going.
He was trying to push that. He's not trying to bunt it softly. The reason he bunted that hard, his whole idea is just get that by the pitcher. Because the pitcher with Adrian's wheels can throw him out.
Why not try it again? Defense hasn't changed. Almost had Turner leaning the wrong way. Mike Davis at first base tonight. Kemp on deck and Ethier to follow, and the Dodgers need 4 to tie. And that one is drilled to right center. That one is well hit, and it is gone. A home run. The Dodgers' first home run since July the 9th. 13 days and 9 games. Gonzalez with the home run. The Dodgers are back to within 2. It's 8-6.
Why in the world would a guy like this be bunting?
Well, listen, I didn't mind the when we talked. It's a good idea to keep the rally going. Just that 2-1 didn't tie the game, and yet now he comes back. He's been swinging the bat extremely well, and then they come back with a fastball and he drills it. I tell you, here's the ball looking for the inner half. Ball goes right over the middle of the plate. He stays on it, and he crushes that. Now I'll tell you, oftentimes even home runs sometimes can kill rallies. But this is an important bat right now for Matt Kemp. If he can get a base hit or find a way to get on, then you really have the momentum on your side to try to get back and tie this game.
Miguel Rojas, you just saw come out of the clubhouse. The last Dodger to hit a home run on July the 9th against the Tigers in Detroit. Well, this is turning out to be an awfully entertaining game, isn't it?
Sure is. With the lack of shutdown innings on the Dodgers side, a meltdown by Paul Maholm and Jamie Wright, but now the offense getting off the canvas, and they've been taking an awful lot of heat over the last couple of weeks for being very anemic. But now starting to swing the bats.
The Dodgers played with a great sense of urgency on Sunday night in St. Louis, beating the Cardinals 4-3 on the 9th inning RBI single by Adrian Gonzalez. It was a fairly routine win last night, 5-2 over the Pirates. But tonight, there's some battling going on. That's Tony Watson warming up in the Pirate bullpen. Giants batting in the 7th inning. They pulled to within 1 of the Phillies. Phillies 5 and the Giants 4. So Adrian Gonzalez, boy, has he gotten hot.
He is Garcia-Parra hot.
Kemp is down. First strikeout of the 7th.
Not about being Garcia-Parra hot. He's just swinging the bat extremely well. He's messed with his mechanics a little bit, recognized some of the things that he was doing, and I told you before, he one of the best at making adjustments and understanding his swing. Now he's got them closer, and like I said, that strikeout was big right there. It's hard because you got the home run, the bases are clear. Now you have to. Matt Kemp's job was to say, okay, as if I'm leading off the inning, all of a sudden say, okay, my job is just to try to get on base.
Ethier 1 for 3, fouls it off his foot. It's 0-1. So Gonzalez with the game-winning hit in the 9th on Sunday night. Last night 3 for 3 and 2 walks, and tonight Gonzalez is 2 for 3, a sacrifice fly, and has knocked in 3. Yo, Adrian is getting hot. And he has lifted his average to 259. At the break, Gonzalez was hitting 250. Zach Greinke, and right behind him, Adrian Gonzalez. One of the things that's been very interesting about watching Gonzalez play this year, he's hitting about 40 points below his career average. And if he has been rattled, he has never won shown.
He really is a true professional and understands if he prepares himself and he's healthy, that he has a lot of adjustments and abilities, and as long as there's a couple hundred at bats left, he can turn it around.
Over the course of his career, you can pretty much make hook on the back of his baseball card.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to hit right around 300. He'll hit 25, maybe 30 home runs, knock in 100. And at this point in the season now, he's still well below his career batting average. He's at 259. But he now has 15 home runs, and with the 3 RBIs tonight, 65 on the year. And he has just tied Giancarlo Stanton and Paul Goldschmidt for the National League lead in runs batted in.
And if you talk to him, I bet you that's the number that matters to him. Looking about, okay, the batting average may be down, but that's why I think it's so important, guys like him that I love watching. It's a different hitter coming up when you have guys in scoring position. If a pitcher's on the mound, he's going, oh, he's struggling right now. That's not what you're thinking. Like, if there's a guy in scoring position, forget struggle, he's trying to knock him in and he's going to figure out a way.
The intermission did Gonzalez well, didn't it? Well, pitching coach Ray Searage has finished his brief conversation. And here's Carl Crawford, who is now the tying run at the plate. Slowly hit to first. Davis will tag out Crawford, and Ethier will go to second.
Now this is a huge run on second base with 2 outs to really change this game and to keep the momentum going for the Dodgers. They get off the canvas down 8-4 and make it 8-6 with the big home run. But a 2-out RBI right now would really tighten this.
Ernesto Frieri is now warming in the Pirate bullpen. And Juan Uribe coming up. Uribe, an infield hit and a run scored tonight in 3 at-bats. Juan at 3:03. Takes a strike, and it's 0-1. This feels like September, not July.
I think Poppy's sitting on a breaking ball after taking that fastball in right there. He took that like, I'm not looking for that one.
Foul ball. Once it crosses third base, it is the third base umpire's call. Prior to the bag, it's the home plate umpire's call. Well, Uribe at the moment is hitting .303, and he's hitting .300 with runners in scoring position. Ethier leads from second. And Uribe's down on strikes. But Adrian Gonzalez, with his 15th home run of the year, a 2-run shot, now has 65 RBIs on the season, gets the Dodgers back to within 2 at the 7th inning stretch.
Park, everybody. Certainly an entertaining 6.5 innings stretch time here at PNC Park. The Dodgers down 8-6 to the Pirates, and with only 9 days left before the July 31st trade deadline, team's still trying to make some moves, and the San Diego Padres have made another one. Just a few days ago, they gave up Houston Street to the Angels. Well, Chase Headley is the newest Yankee third baseman. He was acquired by the Yankees today from the Padres for Yangervis Solarte and another infielder. The Yankees trying to get better at the third base position, and the Padres obviously selling some guys off.
Chase Headley, sometimes you make good career moves and sometimes you don't. He had a bundle of money sitting on the table last winter, and there's a big slow breaking ball, and there certainly was no intent on that. And as Martin trots to first base, put out his hand and said, "I get it, it's all right, no intent." Toby Basner, the home plate umpire.
You can hear the crowd. Everybody's all worked up.
The crowd doesn't even understand what's going on.
Yeah, I'm like, look,
it's not even close to.
In the meantime, Stan Conti is coming out to attend to Jamie Wright, which potentially is a far bigger story.
Pittsburgh make sure they write in the paper that educate the fans here that that was a slow breaking ball and it was slipped out and it wasn't on purpose at all. There was nothing there going on.
Yeah, if you're going to have intent to throw at somebody, it's not going to be with a breaking ball.
That pitch would not have been pulled over on the I-80, 75 miles an hour. Throwing to first base is harder.
This is where you wish the public address announcer would come on and say, ladies and gentlemen, that was a slow curveball that slipped.
And right after Martin dropped his elbow protector, kind of lifted his hands to tell everybody, I get it, not intentional, and he got it on one of the fives. Well, it certainly has got the home crowd into a tizzy.
It's about as exciting as they have been since the one-game playoff against Cincinnati last year in the wild card game.
Well, that whole stretch run for the Pirates.
The place was electric.
The town was. It was just great for the city. And these fans are into it. On 0-2 to Ike Davis.
There's the same pitch.
Same
right
location,
there.
yeah.
That's the same pitch. He's struggling with that right now. The ball's slipping out the top half. Fortunately, right there, it's a left-handed hitter, not a right-handed hitter. If the righty would have been up right there and he threw that one, we'd have some more boos.
And several of the fans probably would like to have some. Into short center field. Ethier's there. Ike Davis and A.J. Ellis appeared to be jawing at one another. Now Josh Harrison coming up. To second base with Martin going out at second, on to first, double play. Turner to Gordon and Gonzalez. That ends the inning, and the Pirate fans are really getting cranky. A 6-4-3 inning-ending double play. Terrific play at second base, turned in by D. Gordon. While we are away, Bannister, the bench coach for the Pirates, requested a replay at that second base force out. And the out at second base was overturned for just that reason. So the 7th inning will continue.
And there was such a tremendous play by D. Gordon, utilizing the bag, knowing that Russell Martin is coming in hard, taking it behind there. So he was clear and safe with that bag. And Russell Martin smart, not trying to break up the double play, but going straight to the bag as well.
Jordy Mercer's the hitter, and he fouls it back. It's 0-1.
Russell did a great job not using that pop-up slide in a way where guys will pop up and dig their heel in before they get to the bag. Russell used the bag to launch himself and to pop up slightly. You put a lot more pressure on your ankle and your knee when you do that, but you're safe a lot more often.
So now 2 out. Mercer 0 for 3 tonight. And a ground ball slowly hit to short. Justin Miller will throw it out. Much ado about nothing. And the crowd in Pittsburgh, they're getting really torn. We'll go to the 8th. Pirates 8-6. The athleticism of Russell Martin from the time he signed with the Dodgers throughout his career. And his speed at least prolonged the inning. Of course, a couple of pitches later, Mercer would ground out.
I'll tell you the other thing, too, is if Russell Martin thought that ball was an intentional hit by pitch, he wouldn't be thinking about trying to get to second base. He would be thinking about trying to take someone out there as well. That's exactly also right. To tell you what he was thinking about that curveball that hit him in the back.
And a couple of catchers who came up through the Dodger organization. Russell Martin and A.J. Ellis, who's going to lead it off here in the 8th. Ellis with a 2-run single in the 6th inning. And Tony Watson is now on in relief. Now he can get it up there in a hurry. That at 95 miles an hour. A week or 10 days ago, we were talking about the merits of J.P. Howell and the great job he has done. Watson goes about his business entirely differently than Howell does. Davis will run out of room. But Watson's ERA is 1.36. He struck out 53 and walked 10 and a 2.25 ERA. And he serves essentially the same function as Howell does.
A lot of ways to skin a cat. Watson's got some heavy cheese. JP's got a lot of deception and movement.
And that's Chris Perez warming in the bullpen. The Pirate bullpen is quiet. Scott Van Slyke in the on-deck circle, the pinch hit. And Ellis takes it inside. Bottom of the 7th, Phillies lead the Giants 5-4, and we're in the top of the 8th, and the Pirates lead here 8-6. Mercer to his left. Dodgers down to their final 5 outs. And Van Slyke's going to pinch hit.
Say why not Puig, why not Hanley Ramirez? They go with Scott right here because it's not the tying run. He does have home run pop, but you would think that Hanley and Yasiel would have more.
It's early yet,
but it's getting late. Quick.
Van Slyke. Right field line, and Davis crashes into the wall. I guess that would be a crash, Davis. And a drop poster that's been picked up.
If that doesn't tell you a lot about Ike Davis's character right there. A couple of times over there, plus a pick up the poster, plus a pat on the back. Excuse me, young lady. Oh. Let me get this for you.
Yeah. Saying, are you all right? Making sure she's okay.
Crash Davis poster night at the Old Ball Yard.
They're Dodger fans, it looks like.
See, we all can get along. 30,629 watching it. Oh, and they're on TV too. D. Gordon on deck, Justin Turner to follow.
We talked about how that last win, the only win in St. Louis, was a foundational piece to really maybe change this road trip and turn things around, and then a really good solid win yesterday with 12 hits. Everybody in the lineup gets a hit except for Andre Ethier, but he has a great at bat, ground ball, scores a run. And this would be a very emotional win. The Dodgers could come back and really start to build this road trip going into the San Francisco series.
This has been a battle, no question about it. And for the Pirates, this game is every big for them as it is for the Dodgers. They're keeping an eye on the Milwaukee-Cincinnati game, and the Brewers have a 3-1 lead over the Reds in Milwaukee in the bottom of the 6th. Pirates trail the Brewers by 2.5.
The team chemistry, when you get games like this that have a lot of eventful moments and somebody falters and somebody picks them up, and it changes the conversations in the food room. It changes the conversations in the lunchroom when you're in the team bus on the airplane, and all of a sudden that shared common experience, but it's a baseball experience, really starts to bring people together and create some energy.
Into left field, heading on back is Snyder. He's at the wall and it's gone. A pinch hit home run for Scott Van Slyke, and the Dodgers have pulled a win and won. It is 8-7. A full count pitch into the stands in left.
Well, this would definitely get them talking in the food room afterwards. I mean, it was a big hit by Van Slyke coming in, the pinch hit. You got the bubbles, got the foam party coming out.
A big shot and tiny bubbles.
And this is huge. Just gets a 3-2, looking for a pitch he can handle, gets one over the plate, gets those arms extended and shows off the power. Now just getting back on the top of the lineup. D. Gordon now just focusing on what he does best, trying to get on base. Like you mentioned, Oral, if they can come back this one, this would be huge.
Don Mattingly still with some bullets in his holster too, with Puig and Ramirez on the bench.
Good idea.
9 home runs, 17 runs batted in, and those two fellas may well be called upon before this night is out.
Puig looks available. Hanley looked like to me he had a jacket on. There was a t-shirt under it. I didn't see a jersey. I'm not sure his health is at the same level.
Van Slyke, of course, his dad had great years with those great Pirate teams Alana was talking about. The late 80s, early 90s. Of course, 92 was the last winning season they had until last year. And when Bonds couldn't cut down Bream at the plate, the Pirates went into a 20-year hibernation. Here he is. Gordon takes a walk. Now it gets interesting. Martin has thrown out about a third of would-be base stealers this year, 15 out of 48. Ray Sears, the pitching coach, coming out to have a chat.
This is where you have that decision. You're going, okay, you got the guy who leads the league in stolen bases. If he feels he can get it and gets a good read, he's got to go try to get in the scoring position. You know, if he still have the middle of your lineup coming up, but you still want to get over there, and you have the ability to do so.
Well, Hanley Ramirez has got the nylon jacket on. Is he going to be able to go tonight or not? Alana, what do you know?
Well, really not according to either he or Don Mattingly. I spoke to Hanley Ramirez earlier today. He said before the game obviously started that he was going to ice it and see how he would feel, but he really has difficulty gripping the bat right now, and Don Mattingly would love to stay away from him as long as possible, guys.
Justin Turner is now the hitter. Watson's going to try and keep Gordon close. Of course, D has 45 stolen bases, more than anybody else in baseball. He is the tying run.
There are guys that have speed to steal bases, and they're base stealers. And this is when a base stealer's at his best, when everybody knows they need to run or want to run. And these are the most important bags that you can get. Davey Lopes will tell you that as a veteran guy who over there talking to D. Gordon. Maury Wills will tell you that. Lou Brock, all the best base stealers. Ricky Henderson.
And that memorable historic stolen base by Dave Roberts. Turning a 3-0 deficit in the ALCS. Red Sox would win that game and then go on and win 4 straight. And everybody in the universe knew he was going to steal.
Yep, and right here, Watson, he gets that late kick to throw over, and then the pitch before, on the pitch, it was a slide step, so he was really quick to the plate.
Turner tonight, been hit by a pitch, has walked, scored twice, grounded out, and has been struck out.
It's interesting to see Ike Davis over there preparing to hold D. Gordon on, because he is not staying by the base to pick him off, but automatically creating the angle so that if D goes on first move, Ike Davis is not going to have to take time to step out of line to make the throw. He will automatically be in line for the throw. You see him moving forward right there.
Gordon 45 out of 55 this year. The 1-1 to Turner. Instead, it's another toss to first base. Watson out of Sioux City, Iowa. 9th round pick of the Pirates back in 2007. Slice to right. And Polanco a few feet fair. Adrian Gonzalez in the 7th inning would tie the score at the time. It would be his 15th home run. He's got 3 RBIs on the evening, 65 on the year. And that's your basic Arco top tier play. Terrific ball game tonight. Gonzalez, of course, now at the moment is the lead run. Gordon at first base with 2 out. And Gonzalez nearly hit by a pitch. No intent.
Adrian's not thinking seats right here because he knows a gapper will score D. Gordon. This ball's close, no intent, just missed.
Gonzalez 3 for 3, 2 walks last night. 2 for 3. A home run and 3 RBIs tonight. One ball, 1 strike. Kemp is on deck.
Seems to be using full leg kick when he comes to first and a slide step when he goes home. Very hard to run on.
Gordon. Good sized lead. Slide step and it's outside.
The only thing you can do is you can take an oversized lead if you're D. Gordon and then try and draw the big leg kick throw to first and go on first move and try and steal it on Watson and Ike Davis instead of Russell Martin.
And that's very difficult, especially when you have Ike Davis, who's he's got a decent arm, good throwing first baseman over there, and he's also left-handed, so he's got a better angle to throw to second base.
Slowly hit to second. Walker to his right. Gonzalez is out. The Dodgers are done. But Scott Van Slyke, a pinch hit home run, has gotten the Dodgers back to within 1 as we go to the bottom of the 8th. After Scott Van Slyke with the first Dodgers pinch hit home run of the year, the first in 113 pinch hit chances for the Dodgers. And here is Perez, who has steadily gotten better. He has allowed 1 earned run in his last 8 appearances, totaling 9 1/3 innings since June 23rd. And in that time, his ERA is .96, and opponents are hitting .161 against him. Whatever it was he lost, he has found.
Well, he's not in a position where he goes ball 1, ball 2, has to elevate and come to the middle of the plate and get hit. He is now getting ahead of the hitters and then being able to walk them off the plate with his good stuff, and his slider has definitely returned.
Of course, there are 9 days between now and the July 31st trade deadline. And if you read the papers, and of course whatever you read in the papers has to be true, Dodgers are looking to perhaps fortify the bullpen. Here's Michael Martinez, who is pinch hitting for Watson.
Well, for Chris Perez, he was talking about what's been the difference for him, and he said back in the New York series where he had a rough outing, he said he was working with Kenny Hill and Chuck Krim and some mechanics and also a changeup. He was like, let me see if I can get a changeup working as well. So he said the reason it took him so long is he wasn't being used out there, and he goes, understandably so, but he didn't get a chance to really go out there and get that feel in a game situation. He says, I was working on the bullpen, starting to get a feel, but once I got out there a few times and I can study it on video, I really started to find it.
Justin Turner makes the play. Martinez retired, 1 out in the 8th. Now Gregory Polanco coming up. Polanco's had a big night. He's knocked in 3 of the Pirates' 8 runs. Solo home run in the 3rd. Got a 2-out single to left. He scored 2. Looking ahead to the 9th inning for the Dodgers. Kemp, Ethier, and Crawford are coming up. Remember, Puig is still on the bench. Van Slyke has been used, and to his fullest, a pinch hit home run in the top half of the 8th inning that's gotten the Dodgers back to within 1. Phillies are hitting in the top of the 8th. Correction, the Giants are hitting the top of the 8th in Philadelphia, and the Phils have a 5-4 lead. Two balls and no strikes to Polanco. Pirates signed him as a teenager, as a free agent out of the Dominican Republic. And there's Van Slyke. Dodgers with 2 home runs tonight. Until Gonzalez hit his in the 7th inning, the Dodgers hadn't hit a home run in 13 days. They went 80 innings between home runs. Who's counting? And Rojas was the last one to hit one. That was in Detroit on July 9th. So Perez falls behind 3-1. Travis Snyder on deck, and then Andrew McCutchen. It took a while to get there. Polanco takes a walk. Just the second walk given up by Dodger pitching tonight. One by Wright and now one by Perez. Pirates have out hit the Dodgers 10-9, outscored them 8-7. Earlier in the ball game, we had baseball commissioner Bud Selig in attendance here tonight. Came up to the booth for an inning, and this parity thing, he's onto something. It's the 22nd of July, and you've got 2 teams, the Dodgers and the Pirates, each scoreboard watching. Dodgers are keeping an eye on that Philadelphia game. Phillies leading 5-4 in the top half of the 8th at Citizens Bank, and the Pirates are happy that the Reds have just tied the Brewers 3-3 in the top half of the 7th. and 60 or so games remaining.
There could be some interest in that Cardinal game too if you're a Pirate fan, and Tampa Bay has beaten them 6-1.
And the Dodgers are not upset about that outcome either. Nope. That Sunday night outcome turned out to be a good one for the Dodgers. So the Dodgers and Cardinals play in the postseason. Because the Dodgers won the regular season series 4-3, they would have home field advantage. And that's why they're upwards of 30,000 here at PNC Park tonight. Outside. One out and one on. Snyder is 2 for 4, runs scored and an RBI. Inside. Now 3-1. So Perez, who's been pitching so well of late, was a ball away from getting himself into some big trouble.
It's a formula where he has gotten hurt, where he falls behind the count, has to either come in or falls behind the count and walks people.
Like that. Well, he got Martinez to pop to short. But then he walks Polanco and Snyder to get merely to the Pirates' best pitcher and one of the game's elite players. McCutchen, on top of everything else, is hitting .323 with runners in scoring position.
Help right there. That fastball on the outside corner, get ahead. You got a chance to throw the slider right out of that same visual window and break it low and away.
Neil Walker on deck. A 1-run game, bottom of the 8th. 1-1. McCutchen tonight 0 for 3 and hit by a pitch. Third in the league with 62 runs batted in, has 17 home runs, and Perez misses by a mile.
It's one thing you don't want to get behind him, McCutchen, because he's so good with runners in scoring position. He makes adjustment, and in these situations, he does a good job not getting too big, staying within himself, and knowing, okay, if I'm even short to the ball, that'll still get a run in. I don't have to think about letting it loose.
Nothing shy about that swing. 2-2.
There's a little adrenaline in this at bat for Andrew McCutchen because of his original hit by pitch was the thing that got the whole steamroll going. The ball started rolling down the hill, and the retaliation, and the fans getting into it. The Dodgers now creeping back close. He's trying to put this thing on ice.
2-2. Perez to McCutchen. A ball away from loading the bases on walks. His teammates call him Leaguer. Brandon League Warman. Infield back, hoping for a double play, but McCutchen's a tough one to double up with his good speed. Runners stay put, and Perez has walked the bases loaded.
Chris came into the game, Charlie. You talked about how the role he's on, and I talked about why he was on that role, but it's completely opposite of that right now.
This would really be disheartening, obviously, for the Dodgers, especially as hard as they've worked to get back to within one. Polanco, Snyder, and McCutchen on the base paths. And the homegrown Neil Walker coming up. Walker has homered and doubled tonight and knocked in 2. And Perez's GPS is out of whack.
What happens as a pitcher when you're out there and you're just barely missing, and then all of a sudden an inning starts to build? Well, when you're just barely missing and your mechanics are just a hair off, but now the anxiety and the emotion of the inning starts to take those mechanics and concentration and everything a little bit awry, and your mistakes get bigger and bigger. Right now, that's why Rick Honeycutt's out there, to try and get him calmed down and focused back into basics. It's just not going to do him any good to throw really good stuff, but outside the strike zone.
And there's nothing that Don Mattingly can do about it. League appears to be ready. One ball and no strikes. Walker is 0 for 2 in his career against Perez and has walked twice. One ball, one strike.
Look, you got good stuff. Let's challenge somebody. I don't care if you throw it right down the middle, but we're not walking anybody else, and that's where Chris threw it. AJ took the brunt of it, but they're at least back in the strike zone.
Walker now with 15 home runs and 47 runs batted in. Not a lot of difference in batting lefty or righty. 2-1. Two balls and one strike. Three balls and one strike.
Now Walker's showing right now he's making Chris Perez get it up. Those last two fastballs looked pretty good, but were just a little low. Walker's sights are set higher.
Four walks in a row from Chris Perez, and the Pirates gain an important insurance run, down 9-7. He's ready. And Mattingly is going to take Perez out of his misery. So Walker with his third RBI the easy way, a bases loaded walk. The Pirates with a big run in the bottom of the 8th lead the Dodgers by 2. Brandon League trying to put the fire out, set by Chris Perez. After Michael Martinez, the leadoff hitter, pinch hitter, popped out. 4 walks in a row. Perez threw 25 pitches, 17 of them for balls. So now League inherits a bases loaded, 1 out piece of nastiness in the bottom of the 8th, and he'll be facing the one-time Dodger Russell Martin. Martin tonight has been hit by a pitch twice and scored a run. Giants hitting in the top of the 9th. Phillies with a 5-4 lead. Josh Beckett, all he can do is look on like the rest of us. The Rays a 6-2 lead over the Cardinals. Perhaps an interesting story developing in St. Louis as Martin fouls it off to the left, 0-1. Of course, the Dodgers did not see Adam Wainwright in the 3-game series, and they wanted to give him extra rest, or at least that was the company line. Well, he makes his first start after the All-Star break and gets cuffed around in 5 innings. Might there be something amiss there?
One thing has happened is Clayton Kershaw has entered the leaders, and that will put him at #1 probably.
Gordon can't reach it. Snyder scores, and here comes McCutchen. So the 4 walks really a disaster for Perez and the Dodgers, as the Pirates take an 11-7 lead.
A back and forth game, and a chance for the Dodgers to have an emotional comeback victory late in this game, but a whole bunch of walks, and now this bleeder of a base hit has almost sealed their fate at 11-7.
Ike Davis is now the hitter. Outside and high, 1 ball and no strikes.
2-out runs were big for the Dodgers. 2-out RBIs, well, it's been really big for the Pirates today. And Paul Mulholland's inning where Jamie Wright ended up melting down, those were 2 outs. And now this inning, 3 more.
What do we say about them? That they can demoralize an opposing team and really boost your team when you get them, and right now you can totally see how that momentum has really changed into the Pirates' way.
11 runs and 11 hits for the Pirates. The Van Slyke pinch hit home run in the top half of the 8th, a distant memory. Walker's on his way home. 12-7. So all 4 of those walks given up by Chris Perez come around to score. And Davis with his 3rd hit and a couple of more RBIs.
The inning's been so long, I thought there were 2 outs. There's only 1 out.
The leadoff hitter Martinez, and 4 walks, back-to-back singles for Martin and Davis. Twelve runs, 12 hits. The Dodgers 7 runs and 9 hits. On a night when everybody's struggling. Beckett 3 2/3, 4 runs and 8 hits. Mulholland, an inning in the 3rd, 2 runs and 2 hits. Jamie Wright, 2 innings, 2 runs and 2 hits. Chris Perez, you don't want to. Perez, a 1/3 of an inning, 4 runs and no hits. 4 walks. Harrison came into the game about midway. Pedro Alvarez injured his left knee running from first to third, came out of the game, and Harrison would take over. Giants batting in the ninth inning in Philadelphia have just tied the score at 5. Buster Posey with a home run. Harrison's down, 2 out. Posey off Papelbon. Jordy Mercer is 0 for 4. Slowly hit to third. Uribe throws across the diamond, and that will end a disheartening inning for the Dodgers as the Pirates come up with 4 in the bottom of the 8th. Aided by 4 walks in a row given up by Chris Perez. Last chance saloon for the Dodgers, and they've got a long way to go, trailing by 5. Prettier cities in the country than Pittsburgh. It was a hot, humid day to be sure. Beautiful ballpark. Town is bustling, and the Pirates are hustling. And they've got themselves a 12-7 lead. And here's Ernesto Frieri, who left the Angels and hoping to start anew with the Pirates, and it hasn't worked out according to plan. Jason Grilli went to Anaheim in exchange. Frieri making his 10th appearance. Pitched an inning last night and struck out a batter. Matt Kemp will lead it off in the 9th. We've talked about it all year, though. Games like this where you're so close and then the bubble bursts.
Well, the inability to come back after trailing after 7 innings for the Dodgers, and they had, but this one you could feel that they were getting the momentum on their side to come to maybe have one of those comebacks.
They'll be 0-36 when trailing after 7 after tonight's game. And the hope was they might be able to use Puig in a dramatic 9th inning situation. Hanley Ramirez, as you saw with the nylon warm-up,
and a lot
unable to go.
And a lot of that 0 for 36 isn't just the offense. I mean, it's those are collectively, it's been like every facet in today's example. You're like the bullpen not being able to hold the games tight or close.
This year the Dodgers have been outscored in the 8th inning on. Now 90-66.
It's going to make the rubber game of the match tomorrow even that more important. They had to come out of St. Louis and salvage a non-sweep with a win in the last day, and tomorrow in Pittsburgh they're going to have to try and salvage a series win.
And Dan Herron, who's been struggling for the Dodgers, will be facing Francisco Liriano, who has really been struggling for the Pirates. And there's about a 60% chance of showers and thunder showers tomorrow. So don't forget your slickers, boys. 1 out. After the game, the Dodgers will fly across the country in the middle of the night and get to San Francisco for an off day. Eighth year, 1 for 3 and a walk and an RBI tonight. One for 4 and an RBI tonight. Crowd of better than 30,000 watching this one, and they're an out away from going home happy. Carl Crawford takes the ball low. Two balls and no strikes to Crawford, who's 1 for 4 with a run scored this evening. As it stands now, Vance Worley's going to win it. Josh Beckett's going to lose it. And it's outside. 3 balls, no strikes. Justin Turner. Box score will say he was 0 for 3, but he walked once, got hit by a pitch, and scored twice. 3-1 to Crawford. Phillies are hitting in the bottom of the 9th, tied at 5 with the Giants. Three and 2 to Crawford. Offensively, another big night for Adrian Gonzalez. 2 for 4, a home run, 3 RBIs. Van Slyke, a pinch hit home run. A couple of hits for A.J. Ellis. And the Dodgers' heartbeat, albeit faint, is still there. Here's Juan Uribe, 0 for 3. An infield hit and a run scored. Into right, Polanco is there. That's out. So the Pirates improved their record to 53-47. The Dodgers dropped to 56-46. The Pirates win game 2 of his 3-game series, the rubber game tomorrow. Pirates 12 runs, 12 hits, 2 errors. They left 8. The Dodgers 7 runs, 9 hits, no errors. They left 8. Vance Worley goes 6 innings. Good for his 3rd win of the year. And Josh Beckett failed to finish the 4th, giving up 4 runs and 8 hits. His record drops to 6-5. The Lexus player of the game, Gregory Polanco. A walk, a single, a home run. 3 runs scored, 3 runs batted in. A good night for Polanco and the Pirates. And he is the Lexus player of the game. And so tomorrow it's going to be Dan Herron and Francisco Liriano, and we'll see about 4 o'clock Pacific. That's a wrap for Alana Rizzo, Oral Hershiser, Nomar Garcia-Parra, Charlie Steiner, and our entire Sportsnet LA crew here in Pittsburgh. Good night and goodbye. Access Sportsnet Dodgers, brought to you by Hyundai, is next.
Yep.